What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome to PCP Movie Night. It is, in fact, Horrorfest 2022 time. We're finishing out week 2. It's weird because Dylan's on Saturday, technically the end of one week. We're on Monday. Some say the beginning of another. Whatever. Week 2, we're closing it out. Let's just say it's that. We're talking about Deep Red tonight, a.k.a. Profondo Rosso. I love this movie. I'm a huge fan of the director, Dario Argento. Y'all know this. It's become a bit here in the PCP Army. So thank you for joining us. And I'm excited to talk about one of my favorite filmmakers' first masterpiece, honestly, I think, Profondo Rosso. Joining us tonight, we have Profondo Jelani in the house. What is up, my man?
What's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you.
Good... Mamma Mia. If Joe Corallo was here, he would say Mamma Mia. Speaking of Mamma Mia, Brian only ever watches the Italian version of Mamma Mia. What is up, Brian with the B? What is up? How you doing?
Hey, man. How's it going? I got my jersey on. Italian jersey.
What Italian jersey? What are you talking about?
The shirt I'm wearing, man. AS Roma.
I don't understand. Explain it.
There's an Italian movie.
Now, I'd like 2 eggs over hard.
We also got joining us tonight for the first time on PCP Movie Night. It is one of our co-hosts over at Dylan's Horror Show. It's Scarpets.
My name literally means shoe in Italian. Scarpa.
Does it really?
Yes, it does.
Oh, is that
When
why
I was waiting?
Okay.
I saw this movie the first time. I was waiting for 2 hours. It was supposed to be about Jello, right? Giallo.
Yeah,
There was no
not
Jello in the movie.
Not Jello. Yeah, no Jello.
No Jello.
The color yellow.
Yeah, but you know we
But it
can't
was
have a
still
PCP.
good, even though.
We can't have a PCP movie night without our Jello because there's always room for Brooks. What's up, Brooks?
Oh.
What's up, man? I'm excited to be here, bro. Just excited to be here.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you to everybody in the chat out here. We got GT Key Comics. Scarpat was up there. David, being a funny man. That's nice. We'll allow it. And you're right. Two Gun Pedro in the house. Pop, pop, boom, pew, pew. You know what to do, man. Rogue Collecting in the house. And we got our man Perry in the house, everybody. So thank you for being here. Taki's joining us. So Dario Argento, Deep Red, Profondo Rosso. So this is a 1975 movie. It is a giallo film, which of course is the Italian word for yellow. And if you're not familiar with it, we did cover his first directorial debut. That's redundant to say first directorial debut. But we covered Bird with the Crystal Plumage at March Madness earlier in this year. And then he did a few movies in the giallo genre, which they're basically murder mysteries. It's like a subgenre of Italian horror. They were very popular. They were based on these cheap paperback trashy novels that had yellow, it's like these striking yellow covers. And so giallo, which means yellow in Italian, and this and that, and it's become a whole thing. Everything's a trope and an idea in these movies. That they're all visual, they all have great music, they all have fantastic effects at times, and some brutal murders at times. They always have a killer with leather gloves. It's a whodunit. It's like the best Scooby-Doo episode you've ever seen. But I'm a big fan of this film. There's a lot of monumental, milestone-y things about this film, including Daria Nicoletti. This is the first film that she's in by Argento. They met. They were involved for like 10 or so years. She was in a bunch of his other films, a major influence and muse in his life. She co-wrote Suspiria with him and Inferno. And she's in all of his movies up through Opera. And then Asia took over, his daughter, which is Daria's daughter as well. So anyway, so there's that. The first collaboration with Goblin, which that's going to become a big deal. And the first instance where there is an English language import shortened down cut, but there's also the Argento cut, right? So it's like the beginnings of a lot of this kind of stuff. So let's get into it. On my rewatch, I took some notes and I said, filled to the brim with style and efficiency. Through images and brief dialogue, we get everything we need to know gradually, while being mesmerized by the visuals and the music and the magic that makes when it's combined. I love the conversation at first with Carlo about the whole art for profit versus the art for art's sake. That was a really cool little bit right there. you see the killer in the beginning of the movie, spoilers, right? And I'm curious, y'all being the first to, this is everybody's first time watching it except for me. I'm curious to get into if you noticed that at first, because now every time I watch it, I can't help but notice it. There are these are some of the more likable characters in an Argento film at this time. The movie's actually funny. The performances are filled with charm, especially in the two leads of Gianna and Marco. And then you got the camera angles, the movements, they're gripping, they're intentional. Through intense close-up, the camera and hypnotic movement, the movie presents a very tactile experience. You get what I'm saying? It has textures, the sounds, all of it evokes this multi-sensory viewing experience, right? The bathroom death scene is absolutely great. Totally an inspiration for John Carpenter in Halloween 2, where they drown the chick in scalding water, right? That's totally there. I love the steam effect. It just looks visually stunning. The music goes from eerie and haunting to driving and insistent. I absolutely love that. The moment when Marcus finds the body in the hidden room is like incredibly well executed, just with the music and the pacing and the editing, everything. The style of it is so amazing. Carlo's death is not just gnarly, but so fucking extra. It's the most extra death in any of these fucking movies, because he gets shot at, but the dumbass police don't hit him, but he falls out this fucking window, gets caught on this fucking hook and all that shit, gets drugged by that fucking garbage truck, and then gets run over by another. It's ridiculous.
And he whacks his head on the curb before he gets run
so,
over for the actual measure. The Italians know how to do it all the way.
Exactly. It is the police in this movie are very non-existent. Yet it's still a very simple detective story told in an enchanting and fascinating way. It's beautiful, it's refined, it's vibrant, it's charming, and especially for Argento at this era, it's kind of fun. And I felt like that on the rewatch. I think this is a fucking masterpiece, y'all. Jelani, what'd you think? First time watching, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, the very first time, and I kind of agree. This music, the music is fantastic. The visuals are insane. Deep Red, it gives me a lot of Suspiria vibes. I know this came from Argento. It's so much to take in, and I did notice the lady in the picture, and I was like, oh yeah, she doesn't belong there. Why is she just in the wall of this lady's house? That's her. I did notice it. And it was like, it was weird. It was kind of off-putting in the whole section where he's trying to figure out why there's a painting missing, why there's this section missing. I was like, no, it wasn't a painting, man.
Yeah, it's
like chilling with the mirror.
It's like with the 4K HD, all this kind of stuff. Like I promise you, when you first watched this movie on DVD, you didn't see that shit. If you still watched it on VHS, we're like, what painting? Were there paintings there?
I watched it in 4K and I did not notice it. So
yeah, I totally saw it. I saw that there was a lady there, but I didn't put two and two together that the same lady was the mother, was Carlo's mother, and like all that other stuff. Spoilers, but it's such a yeah, you're right. It's very tactile film. There's a lot of just things in this that are just like, wow. I like the entire sections when the goblin music do 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 do, and she basically is like playing with the artifacts of all the things that are on the table. I love that scene.
They're like totems.
The totems that they're used, and the camera goes by each one of them slowly. Oh my God, it's so brilliant. There's just so many little things. I couldn't understand the cafe scene, where they're at that bar in the middle of this street. There are no cars coming by. There are no people. It's just an empty street. It was just so weird, just so surreal. I was like, yeah, this is an artsy gig, because it looked like a painting. It looked like a big map.
That was the point. He was copying that painting, the famous one. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
but
the one with the diner.
Yeah, the diner. He was
the one with the diner.
Yeah, that was the point.
Nighthawks.
Yeah.
The Nighthawks, right? Because it shows this sense of loneliness that was developing in this like era of Americana and just culture, right? You get what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Right, but all in all, it's pretty awesome. I love the deaths. There's some really messed up death. I'm impressed by it. That one scene though with the puppet made absolutely no sense. I don't know
A lot
where
of this
that came
movie, yeah.
from. Why the hell did that happen?
Yeah, the puppet was strange.
It's because
Yeah,
it's an
it was-
Argento film, and it doesn't have to make sense. It just has
Yeah.
to be effective, and that's a memorable scene. And
Yeah.
another thing about the killings, Argento intentionally was like, we always stab people in these movies. Most people have never been stabbed by a knife, but everybody's scalded themselves with hot water. Everybody's chipped a tooth, maybe, or had some kind of tooth issue. Everybody's like been cut by glass. So those are the murders. And they're like when they're bashing that dude's like head and he's like, they're
That
knocking
bothers
off his teeth out, bruh. Yeah.
That was
That-
like a vertical
Oh my God.
stomping.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah. And of course, heavy Hitchcock influence on all of Argento's films.
Yep.
So you
I
liked
like
it,
the
Jelani.
murder.
I'm
I
excited,
did.
man.
I really enjoyed it. I was really. Well, I mean, I love Argento anyway. His films are so. It's classy before A24 existed. It's very classy horror.
Are you saying elevated horrors existed before Hereditary? Oh,
Who knew?
oh, somebody tell the Scream 5 writers that. Brian, very excited for you to be here. In a non-overhard way, why don't you tell us what your impressions were of this film, man? I'm excited to hear.
Yeah, I'll tone it down. I'll dial it back. Yeah, no, man, I loved it. This was the first time I saw this one. And the only other Argento films I've seen are Suspiria and Bird with the Crystal Plumage. And I will say I had a little trouble trying to, disconnecting from, trying not to compare it to Bird with the Crystal Plumage because there's an awful lot of similarities. But,
in some ways, it's a reworking of Bird.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you said that because I was wondering in certain ways that was kind of what was going on because I mean, there's talking about the similarities isn't that interesting, but the differences in it are really compelling, and you can also tell that Argento and the cinematographer is leveled up, from Bird with the Crystal Plumage because some of those scenes were just so visually striking, and then with that goblin pounding at you, it was just like, man, this is awesome. This is fantastic. So yeah, I loved it. I had a great time.
Hell yeah, man. Excited to hear that. Scarpad, your first time watching this classic of all gialli. What did you think about Deep Red Profondo? Rosso?
Well, I was just checking. It's actually not only my first time seeing this movie. So I think it's the first time I've seen any Dario Argento. Don't kill me.
Wow.
I wasn't too much of a European horror fan, although I watched a lot of Fulci stuff and some of the other stuff. But this was, I think, the first time I've ever seen one of his movies, although I've seen bits and pieces. I loved it. I mean, right from the get-go, this movie has jumped up to be one of my all-time favorite horror movies because it just grabs you with that initial scene, the killing scene in the beginning, grabs you. And then the next thing that grabs you is that fantastic music from Goblin. It's the best score I've heard in a film, bar none, in 10 years. And I'm familiar. I just got done watching it saying I watched Dawn of the Dead, not the Argento cut, but just the regular Dawn of the Dead, and that has a lot of similar music in it. But this is just like that to 10. I love it. So that's the first thing that really sets the pace. And then after that, you get into just all the set pieces, all the staging. I remember a couple of scenes in particular that I don't know if this is the first time I ever did that in the movie where they have the establishing shot of a long corridor and the two principals are walking down it and you're staying with them right till almost the camera is going into their eyeballs and walking away, and it stayed with them for the entire shot. And shots like that and shots like, as you said, the bathroom shot, there's so much in this movie. And I didn't, it was one of these movies at the ending, I didn't really have it figured out. I kind of thought the guy had something to do with his friend. And then after he puts it all together, it's one of those movies, as soon as it's over, I rewind the disc, I go, I gotta see this again. Was the shooting really there? Oh, she was fucking there, and I didn't even see her before.
Yeah,
she was
exactly.
right there. Why didn't I notice that? And all the other stuff. So you go through it again and you rewatch it again.
I seen it.
I seen it with my own eyes. I mean, I understand. I mean, as Joe Bob Briggs said that he liked the shorter cut. To me, I don't think there's anything in this movie that could be cut because you had to have all the lighthearted gender stuff in between the murders and the serious stuff that set the pacing for the rest of the movie. To me, this movie would be, I gotta go back and watch the shorter version. I don't know how it could exist. I mean, I just loved it. I loved the entire movie. I love the acting. We'll get into that, but phenomenal. I can't wait to watch. I have the other films. I have Suspiria. I have Crystal Plumage. They're going to be in my thing soon.
Nice.
And I'm going to watch those, but I love it. I love it.
Oh, man, I'm getting excited. Brooks, I hope you're not like the Cowboys and going to let me down when I'm super excited. What did you think of Deep Red?
I liked it. It's good. I think this is probably the most like balanced. I haven't seen a lot of Argento films, but this one seems more balanced than his other movies that I've seen so far because it's kind of doing more things. You know, it's doing a little comedy. You know, it's still doing the murder mystery. You know, you get the gruesome murders, of course, but it's also a very subtle movie. It's like relies a lot on symbolism and I really enjoyed trying the whodunit aspect of this movie, like trying to figure out who it was, trying to figure out why this person would do this, what if it's Mark the whole time and he's just schizophrenic because the cop said something about the killer probably being schizophrenic, and oddly enough, the one who ends up being the killer was like the only character that I never suspected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't see the face in the mirror then?
No, I did not.
Brian, did you notice it?
I did not. No.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I meant to mention that earlier. Yeah, no, that one totally flew by me.
I saw it and I was like, "What is something there isn't supposed to be there?"
I knew when they thought it was Carlo that was wrong though. Like as soon as they accused Carlo of doing it or whatever, I was like, well, that can't be because he was with him when she screamed.
And dude's like, I know it was you. I read the name. And if I was dude, I'd been like, bro, I was with you when the chick was killed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
There is one thing that I thought was odd though, but maybe I just didn't see it right. But I could have swore there was a scene where the killer was in like a men's bathroom.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't think a chick can go into a men's bathroom?
I'm not sure why she would
Well,
have
I
been
mean,
in there.
like I would think the dude that was there with her would like have said something.
Yeah. Hey, lady, why are you in this bathroom?
She's disguised. She's in the shadow.
Well, this is the only movie I can remember where they hired a woman to play a man playing a woman.
She had the eyeliner and the hat, so like you couldn't see her face.
They had a woman playing a dude playing a woman. So
Yeah, they did, yeah.
It's great.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, at least this time Dario Argento wasn't playing it, right?
Argento's always the hands. Whenever you see the
Always the
hands
hands?
of
Okay,
whenever there's like ever a murder being done, he's the hand. Like I'm not even kidding. That's part of his shtick. Like he's always the hand.
That's like the Hitchcock moment.
Yeah, that's his thing. So man,
Harry Jeffries.
I'm so excited to have picked a movie that nobody has seen here, and they're all enjoying it. I feel like I've made up for Funhouse last year.
I was going to say this is the opposite of Funhouse. I think
this is the opposite of Funhouse. So yeah, this is fun. All right, so let's talk about the cast. I think the cast is fantastic. One of the best performances entire like cast wide in an Argento film. We'll go with favorite performances, but I'm going to start because this is Horrorfest. It's an Argento film. It's my prerogative. And I'm going to leave some good choice ones for y'all, but I want to give a major shout out to Gabriel Lavia as Carlo in this movie.
Damn you!
He portrays such a tragic figure throughout this entire movie. And the entire movie is not just about who commits this murder, but the result of who committed this murder is a reflection on Carlo in this movie and figuring out who he is, why he is, and where he's at, right? He's basically he's a dude who he's like at least bisexual, probably homosexual. He's kind of like in that, especially at this time in Italy, like he's kind of like conflicted about that. It leads him to drinking. Of course, his mother killed his fucking dad on Christmas. In front of him. We could have done this movie on Christmas. And by the way, the kid that plays the young Carlo is the creepy kid from Suspiria.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that the dog bites. Spoilers, Scarpat, I'm sorry. But anyway, I'm going with Carlo because what an amazing performance, a weird performance, some weird dialogue is given to Carlo, but that is a very tragic performance to me that I think is actually a reflection of Mark as a character as well. I think, and we'll maybe get into this a little bit later, but I think Carlo is the shadow of Mark in a way. Jelani, performances. I'm sorry, apparently I stole Carlo, but I left some really good ones, y'all.
Yeah, you did, but you took Carlo, man. God dang it, that was mine. But yeah, okay. I thought no one was gonna pick Carlo, but okay. I mean, I liked his character. I liked everything about him. Actually, he was very tragic, and it sucks that all that shit happened to him, and he's just trying to protect his mother. And it gave me those I don't know, the not psycho vibes. I guess it'd be reverse psycho in some form or fashion because it was his mom. And
It's like the reverse of Psycho.
right, and it's very, very creepy. So since you stole mine, I was trying to think of what I really want to do, but I guess my next favorite character would probably be. I guess I'll go with Marco. I'm gonna go with the main character because he, I guess, is my second favorite character. I'm not a fan of jazz. I don't know if you guys knew that. Only jazz I like is anything that came in Cowboy Bebop. So him being like a jazz pianist in a conservatory doing jazz, and it was just terrible. It's just,
Dude, you just reminded me. I was watching Bloodbath and Beyond do like their thoughts on this movie, and at the beginning, the dude said it's about a pianist who becomes a dick.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and it's a typical giallo. It's a guy that has nothing to do with murder and crime or anything that's put in a situation.
Usually a foreigner. Usually a foreigner. Yep.
This guy was from London. So, and he came to Italy to be in the conservatory. I like his character. I like how. I don't really like how the police handle this, but the police are trash anyway. But
in the original, in the Argento cut, there is a bit in there where a brief line is made where, well, we have resolved the strike. So like there's one little bit of line of dialogue being like, oh, there was a strike going on with the police force.
Well, I'm kind of glad that the police didn't play a bigger portion of it because that would have taken away from the main character being a detective.
They had police like all in Bird with Crystal Plumage. That's the thing with Bird with Crystal Plumage. The police were involved like the entire trip, and they still didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? So
I think Argento was tired of playing with that. You know,
yeah.
The cops just came to take the bodies away in this movie. That's all they did.
Yeah, that's all they did. They didn't do any. I mean,
it's almost like they were a little bit of comic relief.
Yeah, the girl that died in the tub. And she gets messed up, and he like Marcus goes there and like touches everything.
Yeah,
and no one takes fingerprints in Italy.
Well, they were all worried about that. They were getting ready to fly on the plane. We got 2 days till they get us. They had no clue.
Right, and it's so weird that happened. But and him going to the house and finding the body. I liked his act. I liked his acting throughout this. I'm sure I've seen him in other things. But he is absolutely fantastic as well.
Hell yeah.
I'm just mad you took Carlo, man.
Well, it happens, bro.
I had thoughts about Carlo and everything, but it's
I usually don't invoke the first choice privilege, but it's Argento night, okay, guys? So anyway, Brian, what you got?
I had Carlo picked as well. Because like there was things like in his alcoholic nature that I definitely could relate to. You know, I mean, I did not have childhood trauma. I'm not trying to say that, but you
didn't have a murder happen before your eyes.
No,
on
I did not.
You have to deal with
it.
Yeah.
No, but when you get in the depths of alcoholism, I mean, some of the lines he was saying is just like definitely thoughts I had, and that I've heard and everything. So I mean, he was very relatable character for me in that. But my backup, I had two backups, but Gianna was
Hell
my backup. Yes. I thought her interaction with the main character was one of the best parts of the movie to me. I mean, I loved their back and forth and her car. That cracked me up every time.
That car is its own character. She's that car.
Yeah. I mean, it's
How is
like,
that street legal?
yeah, I know, right?
Man,
So, but yeah, it was like, yeah, I don't know. I thought she was fabulous in it, and had an effect on what was going on. I mean, actually helping and things like that. And I thought that was really cool. And yeah, definitely their interaction I thought was fantastic. So,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Absolutely. And she's in every movie that Argento does in the rest of his golden age, from Deep Red through opera.
Who was she in Suspiria?
She's one of, I think she's like the first friend that what's her name makes when she gets there and she dies.
she runs. She's the runner.
Is she the one that
No, she's not the runner.
she's
Not the runner.
the one that comes back at the end, right?
Yeah,
Like alive,
yeah.
like and all that,
Yeah.
I think.
That's her.
Is she the one that she's the one that fell in the barbed wire?
Yeah, that's her as far as the bell.
Okay.
That's her.
Okay.
She's like her friend who's like really worried, tries to wake her up that night, and the room goes all green. And we're my bad, Scarpad. Sorry, I just realized.
Let's get to the
realized.
next
All right.
It's over with. Yeah,
Sorry.
Hey,
Sorry.
look at
I'm gonna go
dude.
burn my Suspiria movie now. Just
We're not. No, watch it go. Watch it.
blow it up. Screw it
No,
off.
she's great though. Scarpad, what's a performance that stood out for you?
Well, I'm gonna choose one that's already been chosen. I was gonna say the little girl that stick the pins in the lizards. She's
Oh, yeah.
cool. She is cool. That
Her
chick.
dad slaps
like
her and
her.
she just like licks her lips.
She loves it.
Yeah.
She loves it. Slap me, Dad. I'm gonna go kill some more animals. Slap me, Dad.
Has anybody ever seen Demons? I know me and Jelani and Brooks
Yeah.
have, but she's the ticket taker in the first Demons.
Okay, I got the movie. We'll watch it.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
All right,
want to
so
put those two together. Go ahead.
all right, so I would say Marco is going to be Marcus Marco, whatever his name is. The lead character is going to be my favorite for a couple reasons. This movie gave me a very strong, you said Hitchcock, North by Northwest type vibe. The interplay between the girl and the main character. He was really good at it because he had that whole almost Lieutenant Columbo thing going where he's smarter than you think he is by his actions and by how he set up. I mean, they set up the whole gender thing, first off with the wrestling, the arm wrestling, to make him appear kind of weak. Then the next thing they do is they stick him in a car with a baby seat, so he's like 3 feet shorter than she is when she's driving around. That really helps to like boast his character because he appears very, very not intelligent next to her. But when it comes to like detecting this stuff out and his whole process of going through it, I think it elevates him as a character by having him appear weaker than she is and their byplay and all that. So I really think Marco is a great lead. I tell you, this movie did really remind me of Hitchcock films. I mean, he is going to be the Hitchcock of Italy because it's a very mainstream movie, not made in a mainstream way with extreme violence, but still could very well be a movie from the 60s and a Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
And Marco's character, really his whole journey from the beginning to the end, it just keeps it focused. It's the whole ending where he's going into the house and he's discovering the painting and everything is just and he it's realistic because he went back twice. The first time he didn't even have anything to do anything with. He had to go home, get all his shit, and come back. So I mean, I bought it. I bought the guy because of that. It wasn't in a natural performance as a detective. It was a learn as you go, but I bought it from him. So Marco is definitely my favorite character.
Nice. Brooks, what about you? What you got?
I actually like the killer in this movie a lot. Because like I said before, she was the only character I did not suspect. I think because, it's like she's so obviously crazy sort of, but she kind of seems like, the harmless kind of crazy. Like she just forgets things But
she did. She threw me off guard too, man.
Yeah, and I mean, I love her interactions with Mark too, because I'd like to see this movie again, just with the knowledge and seeing how those conversations are, because she always calls him an engineer, and he keeps trying to correct her, and she just doesn't seem to take it in. But yeah, I also love the in the beginning, like the killer getting his stuff ready or getting her stuff ready, seeing, you know, the zipping up the glove, the putting the eyeliner on. It's like, it's a killer, like, you know, that feels like, you know, menacing because, you know, less is more, you know, until the big reveal.
That scene when she's hiding in the closet and you don't see her and it just zooms in and she opens her eye. Bruh.
Yeah. Oh, dude, when she whispers at him through the door.
Oh, man. Marco's freaking the fuck out in that scene, dude. He's just like, the way he runs over there. And Scarpat kind of touched on this, and we'll touch on this a little bit later, too. But, like, they go out of their way to show how Mark is, like, so adamant to his in his conversations with Gianna, where he's like, men are stronger and smarter than women. But he's consistently weaker and dumber than she.
Yeah. Then he's like, no, women are stronger, but men are smarter.
Yeah.
It's a changing. Well, I thought the killer in some of her conversations with Mark was actually kind of giving her origin kind of too, right? Because I mean, she was talking about how her husband pulled her out of acting, you know, and they got married, and it almost seemed like that was like they were trying to fill that in that way, which I thought was a cool way to do that.
Yeah, and that actress is from like the golden age of Italian cinema from back in the day, and all those photos you see are like from that era. So,
cool,
super cool. All right, let's get into the style and structure of this film because it oozes style and structure. Argento was already playing with camera movements, lighting, sound design, all this kind of stuff put together, editing, framing, like all of it. He was experimenting with it, and it really feels like with the Animal trilogy, and I've never seen his fourth film, which is 5 Days of Milan. I've never seen that one. It's hard to find here. And it's a comedy that he did, and it tanked, and it was a rather expensive film. And so when he came back to do Deep Red, it was a big deal that he was coming back to do a giallo film. And he did what some have called the giallo to end all gialli. Like, it's the last word in it. It never got better. He kind of revisits it later with Tenebrae and certain elements of other things, like even opera. But those get more into the slasher craze of the 80s at times, because this precedes that slasher craze. John Carpenter took a lot of inspiration from this. So the way that the murder is put around as set pieces, this was something that Jolly did, right? Where it was like Argento says it's like a musical. You go to see a musical, and everything between the musical numbers is inconsequential to the music. The musical numbers are why people are here. The murder set pieces are the same way. Like, horror movies start acting like musicals, and it's true, right? And they're elaborately shot. The camera movement, he gets crazier with his camera. I think Tenebrae is the pinnacle of it, to be honest with you, man. There's a really insane crane shot. Well, Opera's got this great shot where he like got this giant rig where the camera's like spinning down on this auditorium of people from the bird's eye, like a bird's perspective. Anyway, I think this movie is gorgeous. The way it's shot, the way it's cut together, the way it is told. Argento does not care about consistency in plot. He cares about consistency of emotion and sensation and vibration and feeling. And that's what he's more concerned with. And this is his first film where it feels all of Bird and Cat and all that stuff. They feel like Argento films, but this one is like feels more in line with Suspiria, Tenebrae, Inferno. Those, you know, like this is his first masterpiece. What do you think about the style and structure, Jelaine?
Actually, all that stuff I agree with. The man is a genius, a literal, like an artist. It is amazing how he puts this to film. The shots for each shot is brilliant. I mean, even Kill Lady in a bathtub is like cinematic gold for some reason. I love just the composition of the shot, how everything is put together in each scene. It's amazing. The colors, it's so much to like take in, and I knew that was going to be like a tenet of this because I know it. I've seen a good bit of his movies. I'm surprised I didn't see this one. And it's so much to say or a testament for a director to have a vision like this and able to get it, out, like convey what he sees in his mind. And it's gorgeous. The last shot with all the blood spilling out, and that, by the way, usually in his movies, if you get the killer, it's it. It's the end of the movie. It's credits.
And it's just basically an accident that she gets got,
It's
right?
a total accident. Like, you get decapitated in the
But very
elevator.
interesting. You don't see the result. You never see the result. You never see the head. No.
You saw it get cut though. I mean, you see it. So that's
You know
pretty
what
cool.
happens? You don't see the head, but you do see a pool of deep red.
Yeah. It's a Profondo Rosso.
Profondo Rosso.
It's such a brilliant movie as far as the way it was shot.
Yeah.
It's paced well. I watched apparently the long version because I got all the romantic bits.
Good.
And I liked all the
that's this most of the stuff that got cut is the stuff with Daria and the guy that played Mark. So
yeah.
A lot of that stuff.
There's really not a lot of that either. So that's why it stresses me how they even are able to cut any of that. Because
I think they cut down on. I think they cut down on some of the gore too.
Yeah.
Right?
She
I
does
think they
disappear.
did. Yeah.
This was super gory, but the one I saw was super gory.
But the shorter cut, I think,
the
did
shorter
get
one.
rid of some. But she goes away for long stretches of this movie, though, too. She's not in a lot of it. I mean, she's not. It focuses on him.
Well, she's also set up as a red herring because
exactly.
Not trying to spoil anything for you, but Argento likes using women killers.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like if you're and it's so similar to say something like Bird that when you're watching it and you have that expectation, it's gearing you in a certain way.
I did suspect that when she comes in at the end of the house out of basically nowhere, you do kind of think about that. That could be, possibility.
Isn't it crazy? Like, I think sometimes the people that do the new Scream movies should watch an Argento film and be like, oh, you can have a red herring and not be like, y'all, red herrings right here.
It's right there.
Red herring. Like the characters are saying, you're a red herring.
Yeah, I even thought maybe the little girl who stabs I thought maybe she did it.
The little girl?
I did.
Yeah, I did.
It
went by my head.
I went there.
Killer vibes.
All right.
I didn't know who the killer was.
Speaking of going there and torturing lizards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know you had one. I know. I was gonna go back to the first to the murder of the psychic. I love the way that shot as well. Helga, when she gets damn near decapitated by a freaking window. It's amazing how many times those shots are. So I see it coming from Suspiria. The other thing I wanted to mention was I was going to mention her as my favorite character, but she was dumb as shit. She knew the killer's name from her psychic vision and didn't tell anybody immediately.
No, she got to go home and reflect and
I gotta
write it
think
down.
about it.
Yeah,
She said she got to go write it down.
No, son, that's her. She's sitting in there.
And here's the thing. That sets off the whole thing.
That's it.
Like, the idea that I get is that Marta never killed anybody else after her husband.
Yeah.
But her being found out because she just happens to be in this room with this psychic, and they're like, murderer!
Right.
Like, oh, shit.
That's how
that starts off the whole thing, right?
Yeah. So it's the way the setup is great.
Yeah.
But that scene with her murder is fantastic as well. All the kills are brilliant.
Nice.
They're shot brilliantly, and it gave me a lot of Suspiria vibes.
Beautiful Murder, right? If me and Jelani ever write a book on Argento, it's called Beautiful Murder, because that's what it is. Speaking of beautiful murder, Brian experienced beautiful murder when he was a child on Christmas.
I did not.
And became a witch's little familiar child, got bit by a dog, and went on to do horror conventions for years. Brian, what do you think about the style and structure of this film?
None of that is true. Okay. Yeah, absolutely loved it.
Story.
I do like how you brought up how Dario Argento doesn't care as much about plot as he does the emotion there, because like one thing that struck me early was the gore, because I knew this movie came out in like 75, 75, 76, whatever, and I'm glad you said it was kind of a forerunner for the slasher movies, because like I wasn't expecting a bunch of gore. I wasn't, so it was, pretty much everything.
Especially after watching Bird.
Yeah.
Like earlier this year, right?
That was pretty mild. you know. So I was pretty shocked by it, but I thought it was like you were saying, it was to carry the emotion, right? I mean, because like it kind of like at one point I was like, this doesn't make sense that she needs to go to all these lengths to kill these people to protect her identity. I mean, you can just kill them.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, instead of doing it like, I mean, sending that puppet after that guy in that bathroom, I was like,
Yeah.
well,
Some
that's cool and it looks weird, but I mean,
some
that's
call to
completely
that.
unnecessary.
Some call to that puppet as a direct influence on Jigsaw,
I could see that.
like on
I've
Billy,
never seen
I guess,
those movies,
the
but I've seen what it looks like.
Right.
But yeah.
No, but I think my vibe, my takeaway from this was the guy, her husband was locking her up because she was a killer. She was nuts. She was a murderer, and you know, I think this wasn't the first time that she killed, and maybe she did it before that way. That's the vibe I got. She was.
Well,
You know, she was
another
going away for a
thing.
reason.
Another thing is that those totemic objects that she used, that she like kind of worships almost, and you know, shows adoration to before the killings actually happen, and playing the music, like you get that you're led to believe that that's a triggering thing for the child, but it's more for her. And I always kind of, and I don't know Dario's intent here, but I always kind of got the vibe that she like maybe murdered her husband in her mind to protect her child. So it's a puppet of a child. It's always this children's song being played. She's always looking at these like these objects that remind her of that, like protecting a child or something, and it brings her into this murderous state, right? Like, you know,
schizophrenic. She's not on meds. Yeah.
She needs that trigger. She needs that like sensational trigger
to stimulate a mind.
Yeah. I don't know. The murder scenes were definitely really awesome. I mean, couldn't take your eyes off them. And and honestly, like, Carlo's death, after seeing all this other gore, that was just like, I was like, man, this is ridiculous and so awesome.
It's like,
I just like how long,
shot for shot.
I had him dragging behind that truck for so long.
And I love that the trash truck guys are just hooping up in there, laughing,
they got the greatest job ever. Like, it's almost like, I don't remember the name of these devices or whatever, but like the game Mousetrap, those kind of things where one thing leads. It felt like one of those. Like he fell into one of those.
This guy literally gets scraped along the ground in the truck. Then he gets his head slammed against a curb. And he goes, and it's really, he goes, oh! And then he's laying there gasping up his last, and a friggin' thing squashes his head in the best head squashing scene I've seen in a long time.
That's some good head squashing.
I mean, that scene is a get out of your chair and go, woohoo, yeah! Scene, if I ever saw it. That's
like he deserved it, but he didn't deserve it.
That scene, I jumped up and said, fucking Italians, they go all the way.
Yes.
And you can see where the Godfather's coming from. Goodfellas, it's just a hoof in the trunk, ma. Cook us some pasta. You could see that.
One of my favorite things is I was watching this. There's this Dario Argento documentary that was done like late 90s, early 2000s. It was on the first Suspiria Blu-ray or DVD that I watched. And it's like Dario Argento Eye for Horror. And at the end, they're like basically asking him to look back at his career and what are you proud of? And he says, I'm proud that every movie I made, nobody ever told me I couldn't do it. Like, he's like, I know, and he knows plenty of people, John Carpenter, George Romero. These people are his friends. He knows these experiences that these friends and colleagues of his have had of being told you can't do this, do it this way. He, from the very beginning, always did what Dario Argento was going to fucking do. And that's why those movies are just wild. Wild.
That's what I was going to say. Is like,
from the studio.
You know, some of those slasher movies, like some of those deaths are kind of uninteresting, you know, and everything like that. And this one, every single one was just like, had a huge element of shock to me, right? You know, I mean, every single one, I was like, oh my God, ugh. You know, especially that one with the teeth, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that one had me going too. I was like, and that one, actually, my wife can't watch that kind of stuff. So I was kind of glad I watched that one before. So if we watch it, I know when to kind of say, hey, you know, eyes down for a couple minutes.
Trigger warning, teeth trauma coming.
Yeah. So,
teeth and eyes.
Yeah, that was
wobbling freaking Argento. What the crap, man?
I love it, right?
It works.
And once again, rationale doesn't matter to Argento. It makes no sense why this older woman can take this burly dude and like, dude, it doesn't matter. It's about the effect. Speaking of the effect, We're here for the Scarpad effect. What'd you think about the style and structure, my man?
Oh, I loved it. Great. A lot of style. This movie, I tell you, this version of it on 4K Blu-ray, everybody should get the 4K, looks fantastic. I mean, it didn't look like a movie filmed in 1975. If you sit down and you tell somebody that this movie came out in 2018, I believe it. It's just a period piece. It looked that good. I mean, shot, and I was 50 years old this movie. Go watch some of the 50-year-old stuff that we were doing in the 70s and compare it to this. I mean, there's no comparison. So, I mean, it's just it had the look of being shot now, but it was taking place at a time that this was all pretty much new. All this type of film, the way the framing of the shots and the way the gore was structuralized. I mean, I'm pretty desensitized by gore. This movie to me could have got a PG-13, really. Compared to some of the crap I've been watching lately. So, I mean, but the thing is, I don't like gore when it's just gore for gore's sake, even though it's in a lot of the movies. The gore in this movie had a purpose, and it wasn't as extreme as it was. It wasn't gratuitous because every bit of every shot, every murder had a purpose. And that whole second. The last part of the movie when it turns into almost like a haunted house movie, and he's filming it in a house with the various rooms and him going up the stairs and falling through the stairs. It's just so many different movies rolled up into one, and it was just done so well in a complete style. I mean, right up to the ending where she gets lassoed there, and then you slowly go into a picture of his face in the blood, just like this. I mean, it cut. It was done. It's just phenomenal. I mean, this is my first Argento movie. Maybe I'll be disappointed by the rest of them, but this movie is pretty amazing. I'm gonna watch the shorter cut because I want to see what the hell they did to it. So we'll watch that next.
Hell yeah, Brooks. Speaking of the shorter cut, when are you gonna cut all that off again, man?
I don't know.
Brooks, I think last time Brooks got his haircut, he was like, "That's my last haircut I'm ever getting," because his hairstylist had retired. His childhood barber had Barbara. What? Anyway, Brooks, what did you think about the
get you, Barbara?
What did you think about your Barbara's coming to get you? Anyway, what did you think about the style and structure, my man?
I like it. This movie is like it's very much an Argento film, and I like how. I like a direct someone like Argento can take a genre that's considered kind of lowbrow and elevate it through just kind of just showing you this is how it can be done. This is how you take a movie that's about murder and and make it kind of elevate it to a more artful kind of thing.
Are you saying this is elevated giallo?
I'd say so, But yeah, I love the subtlety of it. I was engaged trying to solve the crime the whole time. I suspected it almost everybody. I figured it was going to be Gianna, to be honest, because I like this character too much. She's going to end up being the killer. Because especially when she did the little cigarette flip thing, I was like, I bet that's the hint. That's the hint that she's the killer.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie was it was fun too. It had some good humor in it. It was the characters are all really likable, and it's just a good fun movie to watch.
I've never heard anybody say that about Argento film. It's a good fun movie to watch. You should watch it around Christmas time. It is a little bit of a Christmas movie. It's got more humor and charm than a lot of Argento films do. Trust me.
Yeah, it's still got the suspense, but it's not as overpowering as in his other movies. I don't think.
Yeah. Brian sent a private chat asking what a Power Max is. So if Taki wants to elaborate on that in the chat, he can do that. Because I know it's a reference to Billy, but I don't understand exactly what I did to Power Max Brian. So if I really truly Power Maxed you, I apologize. Let's talk about the music. So the music, it's interesting because it's Giorgio Castellini is the composer. He came in, did some stuff, and I don't quite know if Argento didn't like it, or he had to leave for something other reason. But at some point, they bring in Goblin, and they have a day to write the rest of the movie's music, and then perform it. And it is one of their more memorable fucking themes. And they are the ones who do the Profondo Rosso theme. The boom, 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 boom. Bruh. The music in this movie. Now, I'm a huge Goblin fan. I got into them through Suspiria, and I think that's still probably one of their best scores. But they also scored Tenebrae. And Tenebrae, bro, that music slaps in Tenebrae. Like, Tenebrae makes you want to dance. And not to try to like jump in on Brooks's style, but I was really proud of him earlier when he was like telling me like when we were hanging out earlier at the shop this week, and you were like, there are moments where the music's playing and I'm like jamming with it, man. Like, the music is so good in this movie. It goes wild. I've seen other reviewers and YouTubers be like, the music goes a little too weird sometimes. And I'm like, man, I love it. Dude. I think it's perfect. It's something I can listen to on its own. It's got a great theme. Like I said, it goes from creepy and eerie to driving. You know what I'm saying? Driving and insistent. And it does the jazzy thing, and it does the fun thing, and it captures all the different tones and vibes that this movie's trying to capture. It's as vibrant as the visuals. I love it. What do you think about the music, Jelani?
To me, the best thing about this movie is Goblin's music. And I absolutely adore this movie. When I tried to watch this the first time, and it was like the one with the ads, I was severely pissed that I couldn't like enjoy it because it cut to an ad in the middle of that music. And I was like, dun, 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 dun. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. And it just cuts off, and you're like, why? No, I don't want to know about blue pills.
Damn you, Tubi.
It's so stupid. But I love this music. The anytime the killer showed up, that music, that Profondo's music comes up, baby. And it's like a theme song. It's so clean. And then like the scenes where the romantic scenes that they had when they're walking down the street, they're playing like fairly decent jammy music. And I'm like, wow. And
even the creepy kid theme is awesome. That's just been stuck in my head for 10 days.
Yeah.
Y'all.
That little theme.
It's insane. And it's like it's some of the best music I've ever heard, but it's Goblin, so I can't really complain. You can't do Suspiria and not have Suspiria. And Suspiria's music's like fire. Yeah. Deep Red's about to beat it. I never heard it. I never heard it, but I've played it like probably 20 times.
The only thing that would
it's so good. It's so catchy. That whole soundtrack.
You can find the whole full score on YouTube to listen to.
Awesome.
And really good stuff. And the thing is, what sets Suspiria over, but if this movie had Claudio Simonetti every once in a while going Profondo Rosso, maybe it would have giallo, something like that. Brian, what did you think about the music, bro?
Oh, you know I loved it. I mean that kind of music's in my wheelhouse, man. I mean that's some of my favorite type of music there. That prog rock 70s stuff. And then I mean, just all the different instruments they were pulling in, and I mean, it was just, and yeah, kind of like what you were saying, Jelani. I noticed it was like, there were scenes where you necessarily wouldn't normally think to use like that kind of music template for, but it's still, but it worked.
And it worked.
It worked just fine. And yeah, and like y'all, I've been listening to it pretty regularly for the past 10 days because Robbie, I think you and I watched it on the same day. So I was Saturday night, and then pretty much, I've been listening to it on YouTube while I work. And sometimes I will say it does distract me while I'm working. Like I have to kind of just listen for a while, and everything. So
just imagine,
Brian.
It
did. That
it's catchy.
Okay, that's close. That's close.
Catchy. And to make it up in a day, that's insane. That is insane. It's pure genius, by the way. That's also pure genius. It's
I did read. Well, I did read that he didn't really like the jazz score that Gasolini guy was coming up with, and when I read that, I was like, well, good.
Yeah.
right? Because that's how he discovered Goblin. Because I guess they were a local band there.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and he brought him in, and they, it said something like they wrote two songs that first day, and he was just like, yep. You know, just off and running, and it started a great partnership, right? I mean, because
absolutely.
I didn't like this score as much as Suspiria, but
It's
barely.
Close. It's close.
Right. I mean, they're so close. Like, you know, it's no point in really comparing them. But I mean,
it's just they're all good.
It's fantastic.
Tenebrae and Zombie as well. Like you gotta put them in there too. Scarpad, what'd you think about the music?
Oh my God, I love this music. It was fantastic. It was a second thing that grabbed me. As I said, the murder was first, and then the score came on, and from there I was sold. But the music, now I don't know if it's this disc or whatever, the 4K or the true HD Dolby Atmos, but the score literally, I jumped out of my backside every time that thing came on, because they're talking and they're like, oh, I'm trying to strain. I'm listening. Boom! Motherfucker just shot me right out of my chair again. I mean, this thing, and maybe that's the way it is, but on the disc, it was really loud. I mean, I kept on having to lower and raise the volume to be able, because it just blew me out. So it's noticeable. I loved it. I mean, to me, you could almost say the music was a character in the movie, and maybe could be your favorite character. It would probably be my second favorite character would be the music next to the lead. Because I think if it didn't have that, totally different movie. Totally different.
Absolutely. Nice touch there, man. And Goblin and Argento always like to either score the movie first or do it as the movie's being made. Argento has never in his career had a film scored after the fact. The music
awesome.
is very important to him. And if you notice, even in Suspiria, it says music by Goblin in collaboration with Dario Argento. So he has a lot.
I think it says the same thing in Dawn of the Dead. I think they didn't do the whole score. They did portions of it.
Well, they did the whole score in the Argento cut.
In the Argento cut, and a lot of stuff is, Deep Red had a big influence on what wound up in Dawn of the Dead. That kind of has a lot of the same beats.
Dawn of the Dead's got some good bits too, where it's like Goblin trying to do like country, like American country music and shit
and stuff like that. Yeah, that scene where the good old boys out there shooting, they did all that, and it's hilarious,
dude. But that scene where the fucking motorcycle gang comes in, it's like bow, 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 bow.
Yeah,
that shit is driving and rocking. Speaking of rocking, what about you, Brooks? What do you think about the music, man?
It's good. I mean, it's Goblin, and it's like, I think I wouldn't say it was. I'd say it's equal to Suspiria in most ways. It kind of stretches out a little more in this movie. They kind of try more. I think
they wrote a lot more music for this. I think.
Yeah, but I've always kind of liked that early era electronic, style music, and I love when an artist can actually make it good, because a lot of electronic sounds are very conducive to making these kind of creepy atmospheric things. And I remember, I think it was Live from Pompeii, but there was a Pink Floyd thing, and where a guy was interviewing it was either Roger Waters or David Gilmour, but he was basically talking about how all this new electronic technology makes it so just anybody could be
right.
The next great artist. And he's like, actually no, because not just anybody is going to be Pink Floyd just because they have a fancy keyboard.
Right.
And I think it's the same with Goblin. Goblin's you take the thing and you use it to the best way you can. That's how real art is made.
Yeah.
It's just
it's the artist, not the tool, right?
Yeah. It's like,
and the interesting thing is he didn't recycle a lot of the music in this movie. He tailored the theme to that particular scene. It wasn't exactly the same. It was close, but it wasn't exactly the same all the time. It was all a little bit different, but along the same overall theme. It was just phenomenal how he did that. Really.
Now, so Claudio Simonetti to me is one of my favorite musicians of all time. He's the lead keyboardist in Goblin, and I know what you're talking about, Brooks, because they were being interviewed while they were recording Dark Side of the Moon, and it was for Live
Pretty
in
sure it's
Pompeii.
from Live from Pompeii.
Yeah, it was in that, but they were making that because they're doing that bit from
Yeah.
and it was either Roger or Dave, I don't remember, but he's like, but you still need me to put that information in,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm still creating it, right? And so it's a fascinating kind of bit. And as a amateur keyboardist myself, Claudio's work is insane. Watch Goblin live with Claudio. It's insane what he does. Playing 3 boards at the fucking same time. Doing like, you watch John Carpenter, he's got 2 other keyboardists with him to help him perform his scores, and they're way simpler than Goblin soundtracks. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Claudio's doing fucking all of it almost, man. It's insane. The theme. What is this movie about, Jelani? What's it speaking to you? Because this movie is filled with many themes.
Gosh, I think it's just childhood trauma and what it can do to at least one man's life. It's so messed up because Claudio is very tragic. I think he is the central focus of the movie because basically it's his childhood trauma and his inability to deal with it, along with his mother being fucking insane. I think that all of those factors just play into this movie so well. And I think it's just telling us, it's like innocence lost. It's just that, that kind of, you can't go home again because it's at Christmas and it's a party and it's all these things. And he's just going through this trauma that this awful thing that's happened to him. And that's what I think. That's what I take away from it. I just think it's like his innocence is gone.
Gotcha.
His mind is shattered because of this event.
Yeah.
So, and
Loss of innocence is a big theme in this, man. 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about you, Brian? What'd you pick up?
That's what I wrote. Lost innocence. So yeah, I agree with all that. And then I also thought about like the main character. Him being somewhat lost, and then this kind of giving him a purpose to do the right thing, because he could have left at any time. He could have backed out of this whole thing at any part of this process, right? I mean, it didn't seem like he was necessarily all that close with his neighbor, or maybe he was, and I missed it. But I mean, it compelled, something in him was compelling him to figure out what was going on, to get this to stop, and I thought that was, pretty admirable, for his character development and everything. And, but a lot of times I go into movies pretty much like I have almost no context for the movie. So sometimes I know you said it's chock full of themes, and we talked this weekend and you were telling me some stuff, and that made a whole lot of sense. But, so I was kind of blind going into the movie. So those are the main things I picked up on. It was, innocence lost, and then, people thrown into bizarre circumstances and keep going, even though they could get out of it and then end up doing the right thing,
Well,
so
the thing was through obsession, right?
Yeah.
It's like through an obsession that he has. And that's something that we saw in Bird, right? Where the dude and there's a lot of gialli that are like that, where a dude witnesses a murder and he becomes so involved in it, in the solving of it.
It's kind of like you get a problem in your head and you can't really stop until you solve it, whether whether solving it, is going to, do anything for you or not. Right.
Well, in this particular movie, you get the idea that it was maybe because the cops were going to probably come after him. His fingerprints were all over the place. He was a good number one suspect,
Yeah.
And they never did.
True.
Yeah.
If they had competent police, he'd be in jail.
You mentioned, Jelani, earlier that Marta keeps repeating that Mark is an engineer, but he's a pianist, right? But he is. And like you were talking about the finding a problem, having to solve it. That's what he's doing when he's composing his music. That's all of these people.
Yeah.
Most of the people in Argento movies, the lead characters are artists, right? Like this dude is a musician, and in Bird with Crystal Plumage, he was a photographer, right?
He's a writer, wasn't he?
He's a photographer.
No, he's the writer. He was.
He is a writer. He's also a writer in Tenebrae, for instance, that they're focusing in. So, what about you, Scarpad? Did you pick up on any themes? What did it say to you?
Yeah, I would say definitely trauma. I mean, from the opening scene, this kid, not only sees his father murdered in front of him, but who do you think built that extra room? and mudded
Right.
it took his father, stuck him in the room, and then had to build a wall around him. That obviously he did. The mother wasn't doing it, so it was him. So he had to go through all that, and and I think the main character Marco also, not only because it was his neighbor that got killed, I think he kind of had an affection for this guy Marco. That's why he went to his house to help him. And that was, I think, somewhere in the back of his mind too. I think he thought through this whole movie that maybe he was involved somehow. I think he thought that for a second. He was, that somehow he was tied into it.
Yeah.
And I think it also shows that in like the great style, the 40s movies, especially the Hitchcock movies. I mean, those movies were about guys that were milkmen and all, and just they were gumshoes, they were detectives. I think it was a thrill for this guy to step out of what he was doing, his job he seemed kind of bored with, and become a detective. And I think that kind of figured into a lot of it too. But it's mostly trauma and everything that winds up affecting all people.
Hell yeah.
So
All right. What about you, Brooks? What'd you pick up?
I think this was kind of about kind of a darkness behind like everybody, and that's kind of a typical whodunit kind of theme. But in this one, it's especially relevant, I think, because it's like like I was saying, I suspected almost every character at some point in the movie of being the killer, because like you see like Mark, he's such an affable, good-natured guy, but then you think, oh, but the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. And maybe he is the killer, and he's just like seeing himself do this from inside his own head. And then you have like Gianna, who seems very nice too, but she also has kind of like a mystery to her, that makes you think like, maybe she could be. And then Carlo, he seems a little more obvious, but he's just this broken guy who's just, he has nothing to lose. He has a very nihilistic outlook on life. He only feels happy when he's drunk.
I mean, I love the guy, but he's such a downer.
Yeah.
as his girlfriend, played by a woman, man, whatever, he's so sad.
See, Argento likes to fuck with gender, and it blows my, it drives me fucking crazy when people mention that like he's a misogynist or a sexist or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, you do not understand. Like, watch Deep Red. Like,
The
watch.
movie had a woman beat a dude in an arm wrestling contest.
I will admit this. I'm not afraid to admit it. I was kind of attracted to her. I mean, I thought it was a guy. No, I thought it was a girl. A guy.
Either way, I would be attracted to them. I'll tell you that, man. The mustache throws me off, though. Anyway,
it was thin. It was like a pencil mustache.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't like stubble. I hate it when they ain't been shaved. You guys are all touching on some stuff. I want to kind of pick up on where you guys were and be like, okay, loss of innocence. We got this dark side of everybody. You guys are right there, man. So like, to me, this is, and I've seen this movie a lot and I've studied this movie, right? So like, the loss of innocence, obviously the kid is Carlo, right? And that's a tragic thing. Now, if you know Dario's story, Azia, for instance, his daughter, says he doesn't talk about it, but he had some kind of traumatic experience with his mother. And he always refers to his mother as like a monster, right? Like, so like a very terrible experience growing up with his mother. So you tie that in with a murdering mother, but at the same time, Carlo's got to protect her and will take the fall for her. Mm-hmm. And it's also a direct result, like, because of his lack of willingness to self-actualize and be the man that he is, right? And accept who he is and his sexuality and his trauma and all this stuff. He hides it in the bottle, like, to excess. So you have loss of innocence. That is reflected in Carlo. That is reflected in Mark. Mark is there, like, there's a double going on here. The doppelganger's in effect here, okay? Mark and Carlo, they're both pianists. One does it for art's sake. One does it to make a paycheck. One is filled with self-loathing. One is filled with self-importance. They are the mirror reflections of each other, so much to the point that you see tons of times where they're sharing screen time together. One's on one side, the other's on the other side. Always. He doesn't really do this as much. He's always doing this. Very specifically, right?
Cool.
Even so much to the fact that when at the end, even though Mark is willing to accept Carlo's the killer, even though Carlo was with him and way too drunk to kill anybody that first night when Helga's murdered, when he realizes it, he goes and what does he do? When he realizes everything, he stares into a what? A mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So that is reflected in on him. That's the darkness within. Carlo represents that darkness within, or the trauma within. Let's apply this to the idea that Argento was coming in with the idea and the ambition to create a giallo to end all gialli, the final statement on this genre. Okay? The loss of innocence, the death of the kid's father, you can look at that as the death of Italy proper to some people after World War II. Okay? There was this thing in Italian culture where it was almost like an emasculation of Italy that happened after World War II. So a post-war Italy led to a lot of this. Gialli is filled with this kind of theme in a bunch of different works, derivative works, and even works that are good on their own. So it is definitely something that's prevalent in this. The emasculation of the man post-war in Italy as a misperception, because perception's a big deal, and Mark is misperceiving things throughout this movie, right? And like I said, he's filled with self-importance, which if he wasn't, he would be filled with self-loathing, right? So with the rise of the freedom and liberation of women in this post-war effort, like there's something culturally there that's seeping into this. And Argento's doing that very intentionally. And that's why I think Marco is, and he's playing with this. He's like, things are changing. The gender roles are not as stable as we thought. And we're talking about Argento in 1975 doing this, playing with these roles. And one of the reasons why Daria Nicoletti being in this movie and becoming such a big influence in Argento's work for the next 10 years, it's incredibly important because that was what she was fighting for. And she fought for her character of Gianna to be more and more butch in this movie. Right. So like this is there. Like it's all laid out. It's this post-war, like kind of almost sorrow of the old ways dying and the punishment and it's there. And it's so there intentionally in this movie. Helga is a Jewish woman killed by an Italian woman. And they don't go out of their way to point that out, but they do visually because everybody's wearing the yarmulke at her funeral, and they're reciting like, Hebrew and stuff from the Torah. It's there. It is 100% there. It is an encapsulation of everything that gialli represents, and I think it's absolutely a masterpiece. So, time to rate the film. You out there, if you've watched Deep Red, Profondo, Rosso, what do you think this movie is about? Because I do think, or not. What do you rate the movie out of 5, you digs? And the idea, what does deep red mean? It means the deep red, the cut, the wound, and the revenge, and what that does to a culture. And it represents. You could unpack this movie for fucking hours. Out of 5 possible you digs, what do you give it, Jelani?
Oh man, well, in Profondo Rosso, Deep Red is also, just a lot of blood on the floor. You could just take it as that too. Well, I love this film. I wish I'd watched it sooner. I'm very mad I didn't, because I've watched Opera, Tenebrae, Suspiria, Inferno, Mother of Tears. I love Argento, and I'm very Bird with Crystal Plumage was just chef's kiss. But this beats it. I'm giving this 5. This will be a 5 for me.
Nice. Simply
with the music alone, just the music, the whole score for this film is just brilliant. It is top of the line, S-tip, but just because of that, and the fact that the murders were so clean and crisp, and just in your face. I love that. Like I said, I love like Bava. I love just Italian and Dolce. I love these horror genre. I love the genre. I love this subgenre of giallo, but I love the gore that is involved with it, and it is brilliant. I love shit like this. I give it if you're a horror file, you must get into this. It is one of the things that you should see if you want to cut your chops in horror. It's artsy. It's artsy horror. So I suggest it to everyone.
It's elevated, Jolly.
Elevated.
It's a classic of the genre. Brian, what about you? Out of 5 you digs, what do you rate Deep Red?
Well, I had 4.5 written down before I came in to the show, and I switched it to 5. I bumped it up for 2 reasons. Because as we were talking, I just realized how I don't think you'd have a lot of these other movies and music scores and some of the music genres that we have today without this. I think without like we were saying earlier, the slasher films. I mean, knowing when this came out and when all the slasher films came out, I was like, clearly they're all pulling from, this kind of kickstarted that, it seems like, and that's a huge thing. I mean, that's, I don't know. And then with Goblin and the music, I mean, that set the tone for a lot of horror soundtracks too, for decades. And I mean, there's music now. I mean, I think some of that synthwave stuff that came back, this is a forerunner for that. A lot of that stuff. Like there's a band out there that I recommend called Zombie. They named themselves after that one Goblin album, and I mean it's very very similar stuff. I mean, it's just like, I felt like I had to bump it up because of its influence on all these different subcultures that are still relevant today, right?
Absolutely,
and still going strong. And it's what, 40 years old?
50 almost.
Oh, 50. Yeah.
Yeah. So. We're all getting old, guys. Speaking of old, Scarpad, why don't you tell us what you thought about this movie? I'm sorry, Scarpad was a kid when Life Force came out. I forgot.
Well, I was 4 when this came out.
I was getting ready to really rate this like a 4.75. And it's tough for me to give a movie 5. But then, Robbie's whole thing that he just went through like 10 minutes ago, I was going to drop it a little bit because of that for that. But let's face it, there really is no good Sevy's Bush in this movie, and it really should be in any type of movie. I don't hate to bring that in, but for the lack of that,
you won 80s Argento, bro.
Well, okay, all right, maybe I'll jump in 10 years. And I gotta get that Sevy's Bush. It doesn't happen in a Sevy's movie, even just a little bit. Well. I'm not gonna ding it. I'm gonna give it 5 because, despite it not having all that, it really is the best. I don't even say this is horror. This is a good mystery story with horrific elements that kind of get really explicit. But it's also a throwback to like those 40s and 50s.
Like Pulp Fiction,
who done it, where you had the Nick and Noir characters trying to go through and work out the entire mystery. I just loved it. I love the score. I love everything about it. So despite the lack of 70s, I'm gonna give it a 5.
I appreciate that the difference in Scarpad's performance on DHS versus PCP Movie Night is that he waits till the end of PCP Movie Night to mention Bush. And he does it at the very fucking beginning of Dylan's horror show.
Gotta stay classy, man.
Speaking of 80s Bush, Brooks is here, and Brooks is fuck, man. Anyway, Brooks, what did you what do you give this movie? What do you rate it?
I'd give it a 5 too. I I really enjoyed this movie more than I figured I was going to. Actually, it's and I think the twist ending villain reveal or killer reveal was what really got me, because I was so delighted that I'd missed, I had gotten it wrong. I'd never been so happy that I've been wrong about something, and it makes me want to rewatch it, just see how the movie is with that knowledge.
Well, I don't know, because last week you said you had to knock Scream down because you already knew who the killer was.
Yeah, the Scream is not as good as this movie. To be honest.
Yeah, you're right.
It's on a different level.
To be fair,
Very
No,
true.
No, I did give Scream a 5, but even
somewhere like there.
yeah, they're different movies trying to do different things. But a 5, you okay. Bro, y'all have to ask. Y'all already know. 5 You Digs. 5 You Digs is a masterpiece. It's Argento's first full masterpiece. I think I gave Bird either a 4.5 or a 5. I mean, this is I don't start giving Argento not 5s until like the late 80s, early 90s, right? That's when they start coming down a little bit for me.
It's quality. Yeah.
That's just that's what happens. But as the quality of his movies go down, the nudity goes up. So it's a give and take, right? But no, I'm going 5 You Digs, which makes it the first Horrorfest movie in 2022 to have a full straight average of 5 You Digs. No 69 needed, because that is awesome, man. Perfect scores. Two Gun says, first time watching, now have watched a few times, and it just gets better. Well, what do you rate it, Two Gun? Are you 4? Two Gun. Brother, why you gotta bring down the mood? All right. Anyway, but from from everybody on the panel, yeah, right. 5 You Digs all the way around. This movie's a masterpiece. If you've never watched it, watch it. Don't watch it with commercials. I trust me.
Yeah,
it's not going to work as well without commercials.
Is this the first time a movie got 5 from everybody?
No.
Okay.
No, but it does make up for Horrorfest of last year. All right. Speaking of Horrorfest. Oh, yeah, just Funhouse. I said Horrorfest. Speaking of Horrorfest, though, we're just getting started, as you can see right there. So join us for the continuation of Horrorfest on Saturday night when we talk about Alice, Sweet Alice, which came recommended to us by Two Gun Pedro. Me nor Dylan had ever seen this movie, so really excited to check it out. I've heard about it for a long time. It's from 1976, the very next year, from Deep Red. And then join us next week for PCP Movie Night. We're talking about The Changeling, starring George C. Scott, a classic 1980 ghost story. I have not seen this movie in probably 20 years, y'all, and I'm excited. So join us Saturday for Alice, Sweet Alice, and then next week for The Changeling. And that concludes our review of Deep Red. But guess what? We got a PCP back chat coming right after this quick intermission. And remember, I can't remember a line from this movie right now, except for that.
There you are.
You know, I always want to go to that, man, every single time. Anyway, we'll be right back, y'all.
suddenly gotten real scary in here.
Who's playing the fucking Deep Red music? You're trying to get me demonetized. What's going on here? It's Jelani.
So that
He's trying to get us demonetized, man.
that Alice, Sweet Alice, that sounds like a movie that could have a little 70s bush in it.
Possibly. Man, I'll tell you what, man. As much as I rambled about the theme there, I don't think I adequately described what I was trying to get at. But
No one said you rambled. You monologued.
You knew what you were gonna say.
well, why do people?
I can appreciate it.
Or why do you think anybody starts a YouTube channel if they don't like monologuing?
I love monologuing.
Like Hamlet's my favorite Shakespeare play for a fucking reason. Half of it's just Hamlet fucking talking to himself. I'm cool with that. That's what I do.
Did you ever see that Guildenstern and Rosencrantz are dead?
No.
You know, have you heard of that?
Yeah,
Think so.
It's awesome. It's like Tim Roth and I can't remember the other guy,
Was
but
it
they play
Richard
Rosencrantz. I'm sorry.
Was it Richard Dreyfuss?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's they play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, so it's basically the story of Hamlet from their viewpoint.
Interesting.
And you know they're bumbling idiots in the thing, but they really become integral to the story in certain ways. I mean, it's a great movie, man. I highly recommend that one.
All right, so I just want to say, first of all, I don't know if a Horrorfest has started off as solid as Horrorfest 2022. We go from Life Force to the Scream franchise, which both of those were super fun, and then into American Mary, which took me by fucking surprise. Loved that movie. And now Deep Red, and now we're ready for Changeling, and I hope Alice, Sweet Alice, or Sweet Alice, Sweet, whatever the fuck. I hope that one, Alice, Sweet Alice. I hope that one works out. All right, so the next Argento film you will see reviewed here on PCP Movie Night will be in March Madness of 2023. I'll go ahead and let you know that we are kicking March Madness off with Tenebrae. So get ready, get excited. We got a good lineup. We already know almost half the movies we're doing for 2023, or at least I do. And y'all know a lot of them too. So we got a great lineup, y'all. You already know I let slip a couple weeks ago. Surf Ninjas is coming up. So, you know, I mean, I figured how else are we going to top Godfather November unless we do Surf Ninjas in January?
I'm still mad I gotta watch 3 though. But yeah, we're gonna do it.
Okay, I got something I want to get to. We're gonna do a little bit of a back chat, and then we'll do some show and tell, and then we'll wrap up. But so we had the D23 big fucking thing this week, and there's a bunch there to unpack and talk about. But specifically right now, I want to know. I really feel like Marvel, because the last thing they revealed was the Thunderbolts lineup. And I really feel like they thought that this was going to wow everybody away. And if you're not aware, the Thunderbolts lineup will be Yelena Belova, Black Widow, Red Guardian, Ghost, U.S. Agent, Winter Soldier, and Taskmaster. And I look at it and I start thinking everybody on that team except for Ghost Rider is like a Captain America clone.
Yeah.
I mean, if you give Black Widow a shield, she's a Captain
I
America.
think Ghost Rider was on that team, wasn't
Not
he?
Ghost Rider, Ghost. Just Ghost.
Ghost from
One from Iron Man.
and the Wasp.
Yeah. Ghost Rider.
No,
Anyway,
it's
kind of boring to me because I'm like Winter Soldier, U.S. Agent, Taskmaster, and Red Guardian. They're all 4 Captain America wannabes. Like, that's boring to me. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I mean, I think the Marvel train is kind of lame now. It's getting like the fatigue is actually setting in. they're putting out too much stuff, and they're trying to repurpose people and move it around and give us timetables. But you just make me a solid story and tell it from beginning to end like you did the first time. Just do it over again with something else. And they're not doing that. And with these characters, with Thunderbolts, it's basically the Black Widow movie. Everybody that you liked in the Black Widow movies in this movie, plus Winter Soldier, plus Ghost. It's a fine lineup. It's okay. They're gonna probably do some espionage shit or something. I don't know. But
isn't this supposed to be Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad? More or less?
That's what it is. That's all it is.
Well, the Suicide Squad was a hell of a lot more interesting with John Cena and the rest of those guys and the Shark and stuff.
The thing is, the Thunderbolts is not supposed to be Marvel's Suicide Squad. That's what it became. Right. And that's what it is in the comics now. But what it originally was
villains.
Villains pretending to be heroes,
right?
To take advantage of the populace at a time of mourning over the deaths of Fantastic Four and the Avengers, when they got shunted off to Heroes Reborn to Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld. And in 12 issues, the majority of the team goes from being on board with this plan to deceive to overtaking their leader to continue as fugitives to be heroes because they want to go that path now. It's about villains, former villains, on the road to redemption. That is not Suicide Squad, and I don't like that Thunderbolts has become that. And I don't know. You're right. This feels like Black Widow 2, even more so than Suicide Squad.
The trouble with the Marvel Universe is that, it's never going to impress anybody anymore because Marvel, quite frankly, they shot their wad with the main characters very quickly, and now they're on the second stringers. As much as you like Daredevil and Ghost, all these people, they just not Iron Man, Thor, the Hulk, which was never explored well in the Marvel universe. They should have had Fantastic Four already. They should have had the X-Men, because these guys are linchpins. So is Submariner and Hulk of the entire Marvel universe to start off with, and they weren't there. And because of that, now they're still going to come up somewhere down the road. It's like, hold on, guys, we got the Thunderbolts. Really, Fantastic Four is coming, X-Men's coming, but there's the Thunderbolts now.
Yeah, the problem is we're in a holding pattern until these movies get produced, and I don't know. It was just underwhelming for me. Brian, did you have any thoughts on it, man? Brian's a little bit more reasonable.
I didn't know about that until you just said. But yeah, no, that lineup isn't all that interesting to me. And you're right. Ghost was in the Ant-Man movies. I was just thinking of the comic. I think that's where that character came out of. Wasn't it one of the Matt Fraction? Iron Man?
Ghost first appeared in the
Ant-Man and the Wasp
in the 80s.
Yeah.
In the 80s, okay.
in Iron Man, but during the Silver Centurion era, if I remember correctly, and then in the MCU was in. I actually liked Ghost, and the problem is cool. It's a villain that's still alive, so they don't have many of them. But I was really hoping that, and they could still surprise us. But like the characters,
Zemo.
They're too
Zemo.
Yeah, Zemo's going to be. I think Zemo's going to be set up as like a
foil in there,
a foil, like an informant or a consultant, or it's going to be a different thing. But Zemo will be there, I guarantee you. However, like I wanted Hawkeye in there because Hawkeye to me is essential to Thunderbolts. But that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to do Winter Soldier. That's fine. Whatever. Abomination would be. You need a powerhouse. Like
where is Abomination?
The team doesn't have a good team dynamic. Now, some of the personalities will be interesting to see, but it is more of a Black Widow too. Brooks, what did you think about it?
Well, I'm interested to see, how it turns out. I mean, it could be good. I'd like to see. I'm wondering. I too was wondering if the Zemo was going to be in there. If maybe they become Citizen V at some point.
What if Zemo's the new Taskmaster and that's like their bullshit? Like they're going to do.
That's possible too. But yeah, I mean,
because there's nobody out there, I think, that I know that liked Taskmaster in Black Widow.
No.
Yeah, I didn't mind it too much, but it wasn't great. So.
Yelena Belova will always be the star of that movie. and she will take over the Thunderbolts. That's all I can say.
I'm excited to see more of her,
but
like for sure.
I like Florence Pugh. I mean, she's awesome. So I mean, put her in it. You just could have called it Black Widow. It's fine that you didn't. But it's not Thunderbolts, not yet.
No, I don't remember my history. I don't think I read this comic, but did this get was Thunderbolt Ross the guy who formed this team?
No,
it was Baron Zemo.
It was Baron Zemo that formed.
Like a few years back, he had the team as the Red Hulk with like the Punisher and Elektra.
Yeah,
right.
It's basically like the X-Force to the Avengers, kind of.
I'm certain that they're going to go to the idea that their team is named Thunderbolts. I bet they're going to add in the idea that Thunderbolt Ross is past.
That's Citizen B.
But yeah, the original idea is it's the Masters of Evil.
Yeah. That's Zemo.
It's the Masters of Evil, the team that was in Under Siege in the Roger Stern, I believe, Avengers story in the 80s, where the Masters of Evil come in and destroy the Avengers mansion. It's a badass fucking story for that era. And the Avengers and the Fantastic Four are supposedly dead at this time. And they come in and take over Four Freedoms Plaza. They're a new team. Baron Zemo is Citizen V. Screaming Mimi is Songbird. Moonstone is, I can't even remember her name because she goes quickly back. But it becomes a more complex book because those first 12 issues, they have this plot to take shit over. And then the team like goes against Zemo and some of the others to like stop him and try to become heroes, even though now from this point on, I mean, they're fugitives, they're wanted by the law. And it just goes into all these territories, and making it just a Suicide Squad or a Black Widow sequel and I get it. Like everything revolves around Super Soldier Serum, but so did Abomination. Abomination was an attempt to make a super soldier. So you can still have that idea, not have them literally all be Captain America clones, man. They're all fucking dudes that are like fake Captain Americas, man. U.S. Agent, Red Guardian, Taz. It blows my fucking mind. 4 of these dudes are the same fucking character with just a different personality. I don't know.
Is it a movie or is it a series? Or?
No, it's a series. I think.
It's a movie.
Oh, it's a movie?
It's a movie.
This is their big linchpin.
You can't tell anymore. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Is it a TV show or is it a movie? They think they're doing too much. They're doing way too much, trying to make content for Disney Plus and just make it like. And you have to watch WandaVision to understand multiverse madness. And that's a mess. You should never do that. There should be implied things from the shows, but not the full storyline and then the aftermath of it and be like, oh, wait a minute, how did she go?
It's a connected universe. That's what they want you to do.
Well, then make Loki work. Make that storyline in Loki work. That's all y'all needed to do. You started it in Loki, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my God, multiverse!" That's what it should have been right there. And that's a missed, wasted opportunity. And they're $1 billion company. It bothers me.
Well,
it boggles the mind.
There's been quite a few shows that have not worked out on Disney Plus. So
yeah,
I mean, Moon Knight, a lot. So there's more that hasn't than have.
Right.
So you said it's the linchpin of their movie lineup?
Well, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, are you pretending to be frozen, Robbie?
No, I'm not. Like, what's the linchpin of the movie?
Were you trying to? Were you
Thunderbolts? No, I'm saying
yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that like this was they expected a pop when they
the
announced
presentation.
Yeah.
At the presentation, like
Right,
because
like,
this is their biggest movie until we get to Fantastic Four,
right.
Secret Wars, Kang Dynasty, and all that shit.
Like this should have been their villain Avengers.
They thought that this was going to make people fucking lose their fucking minds. I think the Secret Invasion trailer, and here's another trailer I want to get to. Anybody watch Werewolf by Night trailer?
I did, yeah.
I did.
Okay, I appreciate that they're trying to go for this like 30s, 40s Universal vibe with the black and white at least. But the movie looks fucking stupid to me. It looks goofy. It looks like they're not taking it serious. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I know people keep going. Every time I say it, people go, well, that's Marvel Cinematic Universe. What do you expect? You're right. I shouldn't expect anything else, which makes me less excited for Blade. Because if you can't make Werewolf by Night slightly serious, you can have humor. Like, I'm not saying they need to make Silver Bullet or The Howling or American Werewolf in London or anything like that. But like, there's nothing about Jack Russell that's fucking comedic. There's nothing about that story that is doofy. There is nothing about Universal movies in that expressionistic aesthetic that they're going for.
Yeah, well,
so I'm going early 30s. There's nothing
yeah.
about the Mummy. There's nothing about Dracula. There's nothing about Frankenstein.
This almost reminded me of like it was like a comedy show, like a Star Wars holiday special or something, or like the Rob Zombie Monsters coming out in a couple of days. This was one of my
we
favorite.
mentioned it. Okay, we mentioned it Saturday on Dylan's Horror Show. That's what all y'all said was it felt like the Monsters trailer.
Well, the thing is, Werewolf, they don't know how to handle the content so much. You know, Thor, they turned into a clown. The Hulk, they turned into a clown. They didn't take two of the most serious characters in their universe serious enough. It's okay to be funny with them once in a while, but they don't know when to be serious with their properties. And all these movies, Werewolf by Night, can connect to Moon Knight, can connect to, if they do a Dracula series, if they do Morbius, there's so much that can connect it. And that should be a serious character. Fuck, Werewolf by Night should be in the fucking Thunderbolts, not half those fucking losers. They don't understand. They don't understand they want to make everything light now, and things that should be light are dark, and things that should be dark are light, and they just don't respect their characters somewhat. To me, I mean, you can have fun. You can have fun with them, but
product.
Yes,
yeah,
I guess it's product. I mean, the biggest thing is the Hulk. It makes me so mad because the Hulk is a major, major portion of that universe. It really almost started everything. The Hulk and Submariner and the Thing and all that. And he's been treated because they own the rights to him fully. And maybe now they do somewhat as an afternote. I mean, the second movie was more of a tribute to Lou Ferrigno's series than it was to the Hulk. The Hulk should figure into all this shit going down. And he just doesn't. He has no place in the Marvel universe except to be like a sidekick, and it's sad.
Well, he can't have his own movie. Universal still owns the solo rights.
Well, allegedly that's changed, and they're building in a World War Hulk. They set that up in She-Hulk, so
yeah. But World War Hulk they already did in Ragnarok, so
I know. So they're going to have to do something different with it.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Like then why call it with that? I mean, I guess it's a name that sells, but
yeah. Well, it's like those all of those. It's like all of those Roger Corman and Universal movies that are based on an Edgar Allan Poe story. Right. It's just the title is all they care about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like they just do whatever they want. I don't know what the rest of y'all think
of the Werewolf by Night trailer.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, brother. Come on, man. Keep up with it, Brian. Come on.
It does not look good, man.
No, yeah, I didn't really care for it. I mean, I watched it with you on Saturday and was like, yeah, I'll probably watch it, but
well, it's quite it's a possibility, just like the Monsters thing. Maybe the trailer was a joke. It was a trailer to emphasize like the Universal Monster type thing, and maybe the show will be dead serious. Maybe
I just hated the whole one of you is a wolf or a monster or whatever. It's like, what is this, a whodunit? Like, we all know who the fucking werewolf's gonna be.
Yeah,
you literally just showed us. I don't know. Brooks, did you watch it?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think?
I mean, it looks like a typical Marvel thing to me. I think the biggest problem with Marvel right now in this whole phase is that these movies are, and everything else is for the kids now. So they can only go. There's a line that they can't go across. They can't go too dark with it. We thought Moon Knight was going to be like super violent, hardcore, and it was. If you're a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Well, Doctor Strange
Marvel's trying to they're playing it a little too safe, I think. And it would be nice if they could take the horror aspect of the universe and make it more the more adult, grim, serious type stuff, and maybe mix a little bit with the superhero stuff occasionally, but also let it be its own, let it be dark.
Right now, they don't know how to do nuance in anything dark or brutal or violent, which Moon Knight made me scared for Blade.
Mm-hmm.
The Werewolf by Night trailer, and I'm withholding judgment until it happens. And I want us to do an after show just like we're doing for She-Hulk and Miss Marvel and whatnot, because it's just as special. Comes out the same day, by the way, as the new Dario Argento film, his first film in years, Dark Glasses. Comes out the same day as that and the Hellraiser on Hulu.
Oh wow!
So that's going to be a fucking busy day. What was I saying? Oh, anyway. So it makes me really scared, even more so for Blade, because I just don't know if they're going to be able to do it. Now, the Blade movies, 1 and 2, they have funny bits, but I wouldn't call them funny movies.
Used to have an explosive device taped to the back of your head.
Exactly. I don't need people being like, well, Blade is a Marvel movie. What did you expect? I expected fucking Blade. That's what I want.
Well, I don't think it's any mistake that, you see movies like Venom and Morbius. They're not on Disney. They let Sony have those. They can do whatever they want with those properties. They just don't know how.
They don't get it right either.
No, they don't.
They don't know how to make movies like. They don't know how to make movies like The Crow or Darkman anymore.
But I'm saying,
they don't know how to do that.
But they were getting their properties that were dark. I'm surprised they didn't get Blade because I don't know Disney. I mean, while Doctor Strange was somewhat more intense than most of their movies, they still don't seem they want to go all the way into it. And Blade, without going all the way into the vampirism, is not going to be good.
Yeah, so even with the Blade stuff, and that's supernatural, but even outside of that, the more brutal, violent nature, the worst news I got from D23 was that the Daredevil show, Born Again, is a reboot.
Oh, God.
But then that Netflix show is its own thing. This is Marvel's version. Oh, okay. Well, Marvel's version, you've already shown me your version of the Kingpin, and now I'm not as excited as I was for Born Again.
Well,
Vincent D'Onofrio.
I am a little naive, okay, but I was really hoping that we would get in the vein of the previous Daredevil seasons on Netflix, of kind of like let's go into this Frank Miller territory. Like, well, they're not gonna give us anything Frank Miller in an MCU Daredevil show. I'm
Not
done.
at all.
It's name only.
Not at all.
All they
That's
care is
it.
that it's called The Raven, not that it means anything. By the way, the original Universal film, The Black Cat, has nothing to do with the story. Doesn't matter. That movie's fucking the shit.
Well, to be fair, though, I mean, I don't think even Netflix would have gone with a pure Frank Miller story. They were doing their own thing, too. But now they're going to...
It's because to them, all they think of, because they're Hollywood, when you think of Frank Miller, all they go is Sin City 2 and RoboCop 3.
RoboCop 3, yeah.
That's all they do.
But
Spirit, that's the one movie he directed solo, right? The Spirit?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But the multiverse has given them an excuse now to take any property that they've had somewhere else and say that was universe D10. This is this universe's Daredevil, and it does let them take and pick things that they thought liked from the old show, and they'll have it, but that gives them the ability of throwing out anything they didn't.
I'm so worried.
And I think you're definitely going to see different fighting styles. I do hope they improve the uniform because I didn't like the Netflix uniform.
Here's the thing. I know what Marvel's going to do. Marvel's like, we're going to homage the hallway scene, but we're going to amp it up. And so the way they're going to amp it up is that he's going to keep making quips in the middle of his fucking punches.
Ha ha! I'm blind.
Now, Brian, I know that
That's
me and you have talked a long time about like Frank Miller and how much we love Frank Miller, how much we love Daredevil and his run there. Does this news, how do you feel about it? That it's a complete reboot in the MCU?
I don't like that because Born Again implies that he's been around for a while, right? I mean, it's like, that was kind of one of the points of it is he'd done all these other things, but then all the other characters around him had evolved too to different points, right? I mean, because like that was the one that was kicked off by Karen Page, right? When she had, she was like dope sick, and then, so, I mean, I don't know, but like you said, they may just be using the title to, pull people in or something like that. But
it's
just
because it's like
Frank.
It's Born Again. We're doing it.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna redo his origin. I think they're gonna set this like the other stuff. The time frame had gone by. He's been Daredevil for a while.
Okay.
But you're gonna get elements that are gonna be slightly different. Whether the actors
it's probably one of the reasons why we're getting the yellow costume in She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Is Vincent D'Onofrio still playing the Kingpin?
Yes. And both of them will appear in the Echo series first.
Okay. That does make me feel a little better because I still think he's the best Marvel villain.
Yeah.
He is, man, but that was a weak ass Kingpin in Hawkeye.
Oh, he got punked in that.
He's gonna have a different origin a little bit in this.
They're gonna ruin everything about this. I already see it coming. Listen, Daredevil. Listen, give it a chance, man. I'm telling you. Now I give stuff chances, but I don't give people 18 episodes of my time. All right, if it ain't good, 18. I got to sit through 18 of them. So that means you're redoing the best story Marvel has ever told, to be honest. The Netflix Daredevil show,
which
is
we
the
were
best
sold.
beginning.
Remember, they sold us that this is connected.
It's big. Yep.
They even
it's
mentioned
a
the
beginning, a middle, and an
Battle of
end.
New York Cities is there, right?
The
They
best
mentioned
city. Yes, it's all of it. It's the best Kingpin you will ever get. They're not going to understand that. Kevin Feige shut down Daredevil, so we're not getting to season 4.
Mm-hmm.
He canceled it, killed it, because it's not a part of his MCU. Just like how what's his name, Coulson is dead, so that's why in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. they don't recognize Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because Feige didn't do it. So now Feige canceled Daredevil, and he's bringing it back, and he's going to have all these Disney writers now, and not the people that actually created Netflix Daredevil. And it is grating. I cannot. I know I'm going to hate it. I know there's something to this. I'm just going to be like, it's going to be hot garbage, and I'll be like, Charlie Cox, look what they did to my boy. What they did to Vincent D'Onofrio and damn Hawkeye, man. I loved Hawkeye. And then they did that Hawkeye shit.
You have to give
Oh my
everything.
God,
You gotta give everything a chance. You gotta look at it with a fair mind. Unless it's fucking Star Trek Picard, don't give that a fucking chance. Now the word in the street, the word is the new season of Star Trek Picard is supposed to be the fucking best thing that ever happened.
They said that last 2 times.
Now hold on. Now hold on. Somebody's seen it and they think that's what they're saying. But even if it is, man, fool me fucking once. After those 2 seasons, you can put fucking Picard up there in a tutu dancing on the Enterprise. And
he's dead. And
I know he's a robot.
All right. Let's pull this back.
But it can never undo the 2 years of utter pain.
We're gonna pull this back. We're gonna pull this back, and we're gonna go. Hey Brooks, you're reasonable.
Jesus. I'm so scared of Marvel.
Having heard the news that Marvel is doing Daredevil as a reboot and not a continuation, how does that make you feel?
That's fine. I mean, I'm always open for a new chance at something, Try something maybe a little different.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, just reboot it.
Yeah.
Let's Force Awakens it.
It's like there's no point in like dragging a dead horse sometimes, even if something is really good. Like sometimes it's just not worth it to try and like force it into like, whatever, something else,
Let's be honest. Here's the thing. They're like, okay, if we acknowledge that Daredevil really happened, then we got to acknowledge Iron Fist.
Oh, God.
Right.
Oh, God.
It does give them a chance to
That's
reboot
true.
Iron Fist and Luke Cage.
That's true.
Although the thing is, they want the strange thing about it is, everything I've heard is they do want to bring back most of these actors who are in the Netflix shows.
They want to bring back rumors. They want to bring back John Bernthal and what's her name that did Jessica Jones?
Kristen Ritter.
Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, Kristen Ritter. Yeah.
And that maybe she's in, what was it? The Marvels, I think. That's what they were saying. That maybe she's in that or something.
But they'll dump the Karen Page from True Blood that was in the other one. They'll dump Foggy. I thought the Foggy was actually pretty good in that one.
I
think they should fuck with everybody and bring Jon Favreau back as Foggy.
Foggy. So they'll redo a lot of those characters, I think, again. And I think it'll be a little different. I think it'll have. I think it will definitely. It won't have as much of that whole angst. The religious
it's gonna
angst
be
part
really
of it.
stupid.
So it's not going to feel like Daredevil's what you're saying. Okay,
that's right.
So, there's going to be a moment. There's going to be a moment in this show where Daredevil Matt Murdock has to represent Happy Hogan, and he sees him and he goes Foggy, and he goes, "No, Happy," and then it's like, ha, ha. See, we're so cool here in Marvel. We know what we're doing. What's up, Zach? How you doing, brother? You missed the movie review, but we all gave it a 5. 5 you digs. So.
No, what do you think about that one with Samuel L. Jackson? That's gonna be a TV show, right?
Secret Invasion. It looked fine. I'm excited to check it out. I guess.
Amelia Clark's in it. So.
Look fine. Look fine. Yeah, it looked fine. Looked fine to me. It didn't wow me, but it looked fine.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm always excited to see Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury in anything. So I'm excited.
He's hiding something under that beanie.
Damn.
The question I have for you guys is, what did you think when you saw? I'm old, man. Harrison Ford crying over the new Indiana Jones.
I heard about
the
that.
best thing ever.
I heard about
Best
that.
thing
We'll
ever.
see. I'm the guy that liked Indy 4, so I don't.
do. I like
yeah.
them before.
You
so-
like Crystal Skull?
Yes, man. I like
Y'all,
it.
you know I like Crystal Skull,
because
man.
because
I hate Nuke the Fridge.
Indiana
My favorite
Jones-
indie movie is Temple of Doom, so I don't usually have
Yeah.
much to say to
Well,
like.
yeah.
And that's trash. That's
Nah,
just
that's a great
I
fucking
mean,
movie.
trash.
That's good.
That's a great fucking movie.
I'll never
man.
watch that movie again.
Y'all are out your fucking mind. It's
It's
a great.
trash.
movie.
They had a character
That
called
was the
Short
best one,
Round.
dude.
That's all you need to know in that movie. That was like
Yeah,
Short
he's
Round's
so-
coming back,
he's the
man.
worst.
Short
yeah, I know
Round's
he's
back.
back. He's in a couple movies.
Yes, he was
Dude.
great in everything,
Yeah.
everywhere, all at once, and he's gonna be great in this, man. Short Round's the shit.
But
Anyway,
it
Oh,
is
yeah,
fun because it was
I got
it
I
was
want
a
to touch on
pulpy
one
movie.
more thing before we get to show and tell. And Rings of Power, episode 1 and 2 were boring to me, but episode 3 I fucking loved.
I've watched.
So I want to say that I haven't caught the newest episode of House of the Dragon, but I'm enjoying that. And Cobra Kai is fucking the shit.
I still
It's-
watched Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai is owning them all right
Yeah.
now. I'm only 4 episodes in, but Rings of Power episode 3 was awesome. Did you watch that yet, Brooks?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think about episode 3? You're the Tolkien Meister here at the PCP Excitable crew.
I thought it was good. I'm glad that they're finally getting to Numenor, and like they're setting up, the conflict between the elves and men, and
Numenor looked badass, bro, by the way.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Well, the sets in the show are like
They spent
They're
$50
so good,
million
like-
an episode.
But you can tell.
50
Yeah.
million.
It's
Yeah.
not like somebody hid this money away to build like a
Right.
fucking pleasure palace. Like this is real, like on screen.
Yeah.
It looks nice. I like that they're introducing Isildur and all of those, like a few of the characters that we kind of know of at least. We don't know him. We only know him as the guy who fucked up, but he's in there.
Yeah.
And I'm liking Galadriel's story arc so far.
They finally made her likable in episode 3 for me.
Yeah, I think she's softening up a little bit now.
I think she was a hardened commander until she had to give it up.
Yeah,
And then
she was on a revenge kick.
Yeah.
But now it seems like she's got a higher purpose, I guess.
I really
Okay.
liked episode 3. The one thing I will say is obviously they're just doing the same story, which is, there's an elf in love with a human woman. There's
Sauron's having a problem.
there nobody believes that the evil is on its way. Men and elves can't work together. I mean, but the idea, the cyclical nature of story kind of makes sense there, right? So, and there's a wizard fucking around with some hobbits. But I do love it. I loved episode 3, and I did not like 1 and 2. That
I
being
like
said, Cobra Kai is kicking ass.
I like
Go ahead,
the dwarves in episode 3 as well. The
Dude,
Durin.
seeing Kaza
and
Doom
that-
was awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
holy
I love
that.
the rock breaking competition
Yep.
between
That was
Elrond and
fantastic.
Durin. That was probably my favorite part.
It made me think of the bit in Sandman with Lucifer.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, like, Elrond could have easily won that competition.
Yeah, you could tell.
Like, he could have just kept going as long as he wanted to, but he gave up because that wasn't his goal.
But
He just wanted
yeah,
to
he
talk
didn't
to
want.
Durin.
Yeah, he didn't want Durin to lose face either.
That was
right?
the best
I mean,
part of those first 2 episodes for me, was all that shit with Elrond and that dude.
yeah.
Loved it. But episode 3 I really, really liked.
I agree on Cobra Kai. We're 8 episodes in, and
I hear they keep getting better. Like
I
on
can't stop
today's
laughing, man.
today's experience show, I started mentioning it briefly, and Nick Barucci just plowed into the room and had to let me know that he only usually, he's a busy dude, watches about an hour of TV a week. And he said he stayed up all night Friday till 3 a.m. watching Cobra Kai and how fucking amazing it was. And it kept getting better and better and better. And dude, they took a shitty movie with Karate Kid 3 and a shitty performance of Terry Silver in that movie and recontextualized it and makes that movie now go up you dig for me, man. Like, I can't. And when Hilary Swank shows up, we're all going to be like, next Karate Kid's not that bad. And
Yeah.
that's going to be the last, like, when she shows up, there's,
Kid.
of course you did. Brooks, you like every movie, man, except for Iron Eagle, which doesn't make
That's
any
true.
sense to me. That's Johnny Lawrence's favorite fucking movie, man.
It's a pretty good movie.
So,
I love anyway. This shit's awesome, man. Good stuff.
I'm waiting for him to have the Jackie Chan Mr. Miyagi in it. So
I hope that never
That's
happens.
when they're crossing
Different
fucking
multiverse.
dimensions,
Too far.
Scarpath.
that's the multiverse of
There's the
madness. in the
multiverse,
multiverse.
Johnny
multiverse of
ends up
Cobra
in,
Kai.
like in the Jaden Smith
Yeah,
Karate
Jaden
Kid
Smith
universe.
comes in.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, man. Like fucking all of a sudden Matt Damon shows up and he's like, I'm the Johnny from Earth 2037.
That'd be fucking awesome. I'd watch that.
That would be cool. All right, y'all. Having back chat back has been fun. We went an hour and a half talking about Deep Red. I was not expecting us to go that long, but still not as long as the Argento cut. Anyway, it's time for show and tell. And we haven't done a show and tell for a while, so to kick it off into gear, I'll go first. All right. So I just want to show off my Argento films. I don't have every single one, but when I stacked them all together, I was like, holy shit, I got a lot of them. So after I gotta focus in on this. Like a goal in 2023 is to complete every Argento film. But I got Bird with Crystal Plumage right there. We talked about that at March Madness. His next movie was Cat o' Nine Tails. There it is right there. Got those Arrow releases. This one is Four Flies on Gray Velvet. That's his third film. I had to get like this weird, like shameless entertainment, shameless screen entertainment. Region 2. There's Deep Red, the movie we were talking about. I don't have the 5 Days of Milan, his comedy that he made, though it looks like it's cool. There's the masterpiece right there, Suspiria. Probably my favorite horror film of all time for sure. The sequel to that, which is Inferno, 1980. Tenebrae, which we're covering in March Madness of next year. Phenomena with Donald Pleasance and Jennifer Connelly. Weird movie.
I thought John Travolta was in that.
Then we got Opera. Man, Jelani, you remember when we watched this movie?
Hell yeah. That's some crazy shit, man.
That's some good shit. This is a movie he co-directed with George Romero. It's two adaptations of two different Edgar Allan Poe tales. And Argento does The Black Cat. That's really good. There's Trauma, his first movie with Ozia, I believe, as an adult at least. Good movie, man. Tom Savini does the effects in that. There's Sleepless. This is one of his. It's hard to say that this is modern nowadays, but it's his later career. But it's not too bad. There's Mother of Tears. That's on DVD, man. I don't think they ever put this shit on Blu-ray, man.
Slumming on DVD.
I don't think this is on Blu-ray, bro. And then movies that he produced but didn't necessarily direct. There's my Argento cut of Dawn of the Dead.
Of course it is.
Yeah, the Argento cut, which is amazing. And he also produced these little movies that we talked about last year, Demons and Demons 2. So that's my Argento collection that I got so far. Still a few to get.
Nice collection.
Thank you. And I also just want to show this off because I opened this up yesterday. That's the Raphael's Frankenstein. I want to do a quick little comparison. This is the Michelangelo's Frankenstein from the original line. So it still bothers me that they switched the characters this time. Like Michelangelo's the Mummy, Raph was the Mummy. I know, but at the same time, I appreciate them giving me something different. And I wish they would have done glow in the dark parks because that's what they do with these. Yeah. All those bits that are like white-ish there, glow in the dark. And the only other thing I got to show off is I got some cool pieces for my Motu collection, y'all. And I bought these a while ago, but I've been wanting to hold off and show them off here at Horrorfest. So I got one piece here, if I can get it around my legs. I got me a Spydor, y'all.
Wow.
Where was that hiding?
It came out my backside, as you so eloquently said. So I'm missing the one gun, and we don't know yet if it works. It had some like gunk in the battery bit, so we got to put some batteries in it and see if it works. But y'all, I got a Spydor.
That's pretty cool.
So that's super cool, and that's my show and tell. So next up for show and tell, Scarpad, why don't you initiate us into the awesomeness of your collection? Show us what you've got.
Don't have too much, but let's see. Well, I got these last week. These aren't as nice as the NECA stuff, but they're monsters. I think it's from, I don't know who puts these out. Jada Toys. So there's Frankenstein.
It's the Frankenstein monster, sir.
And the creature. And Dracula, which is right here. This is a pretty nice one. Not too bad.
They're cool.
As I said, not as nice as NECA stuff, but
they look nice. Though. Those are cool. I bet they're cheaper than NECA.
They were, and the boxes are kind of cool too. I hate to see what's going to happen when all these things go away and then you can't see what's inside the box anymore. But so that's it. And figures I got this week. Movies, I only amazingly got 2 movies so far. First one is the Best Buy Steelbook on Lightyear. which I don't know.
Well, that's a cool, that's a dramatic looking fucking image, man. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Walking through the smoke.
Has anybody seen that movie? Is that movie good?
No, I have no idea.
I heard it was a pretty good sci-fi, but it's not related to Toy Story real at all. But he looks a little like Tom Cruise there from the. And the other one, this movie here is a classic, and yes, it will be probably one of the first movies I do in my new show, which is going to be called Scarpad's. What the fuck am I calling it?
Sci-fi Sojourns. Right?
That's right. Scarpad's. Thank you, Robbie. Scarpad's Sci-Fi Sojourns, premiering in November after Horrorfest. We'll be looking at some horror movies in a similar type theme. Hoping to get some of these guys on. And one of the ones we'll be watching, Fantastic Voyage with Raquel Welch from the 66. They shoot her in the body of a guy, a dude, in a submarine.
Yeah.
Classic sci-fi.
That's a fun movie, man. We did a 60s sci-fi podcast, and I think we talked about that a lot.
I'll have to watch that.
And that is that.
Nice. All right, coming up, we got Brooks for show and tell. What did you got?
A dear friend of mine got me this recently for my birthday. It's a collection of Akira Toriyama's old stories from back in the day. I've gotten a little over halfway through it so far, but they've all been fun. Most of them are like his more humorous stuff. Like,
well, whichever of your friends got that for you for your birthday is a super stand-up dude. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he is. He's the best.
I heard he's a bit of an asshole sometimes, and he thinks way too much of Argento films. But
yeah, I've heard that too. I don't know if I believe it.
I do.
But yeah, he's like, you can tell like some
Dramatic.
a lot of Dragon Ball looking characters in there, but.
I saw that on a recent episode of Kayfabe, and I was like, Brooks needs this, man.
Yeah, I've been really liking it. And I also picked this up a while back. This is the fucking entirety.
Oh, Demon Slayer. Jeez.
Demon Slayer.
That's a gigantic box.
It's pretty heavy.
I've been looking at that box for weeks.
That's
man.
what she said.
Yeah.
Legs up.
Holy moly.
Dang.
It's awesome.
Got a poster and everything.
That's a week's worth of reading there.
An afternoon for Brooks, probably, actually.
It's
Yeah,
a little late reading.
I still haven't gotten all the way through them yet. I'm a little over halfway through those too.
Good grief, man.
But yeah, and I've picked this guy up. This is one of my favorite old Masters of the Universe figures. This is from the new set. Yeah, because I remember when I was a kid, I used to just stick them on every fucking window I could get them to stick on. I also remember this guy, Mr. Eye Popping guy.
Mantenna.
Yeah.
What I like about the Origins one is he actually has individual legs this time.
Yeah,
This is the easiest figure to stand.
Oh,
Like,
nice.
if you can't get this figure to stand up, you're doing something wrong.
The original is one of the most difficult ones to fucking stand because,
Really?
because each leg is two legs, and oh my god,
Oh yeah, I remember that thing.
mine's
Kept
just
falling
leaning
over.
against the fucking wall.
Yeah.
I always just lean them on get something, man.
And last of all, I found this the other day at Target. It's an amiibo. I've kind of fallen off the amiibo collecting thing, but every once in a while I'll find one and I'll have to get it. This is Byleth from Fire Emblem. So I had to collect to finish my Fire Emblem amiibo collection, but that's all I got
You
so
gotta
far.
complete the Fire Emblem amiibo collection.
Yeah, there's a couple I'm missing too.
Yeah, unfortunately, the one who has the complete collection is Brian. Brian, why don't you show us what you've got?
Okay. Yeah. So.
Wait, is that like an Italian football shirt?
It is. Actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
bruh.
It's Roma. It's got the wolf with the.
Now, I'd like 2 eggs over hard.
I didn't bring anything. Just
You get the most Italian shirt of any of us.
That's right. That's right.
It's quite a deep
thank you,
red
man.
in color.
I
very
know.
nice shirt.
It's true. It is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first thing I got is first sketch cover I ever got commissioned. Did this at Heroes Con. Didn't have time to do it while I was there, but this is the first issue of She Said Destroy by our friend Joe Corallo and Liana Kangas. and this is one of the characters from that, and he actually did both front and back with that. And this is Paul Azaketa is how it's pronounced.
Thank you for correcting me in person.
I did it in a comment and in person now. So yeah. So I don't know. Really like this one. And then there's this Italian artist I got into a couple years ago because Sean Gordon Murphy said it was one of his biggest influences. And I read The Collector, but recently they've been doing these really nice fancy editions of his short stories. And he does like different areas of the world. And the first one is the Enchanted World, but then there's like Japan, Africa, and they're black and white, but just the art is just so insane in that. I mean,
oh wow.
His name's Sergio Topi, I think. But yeah, it's like the first image I saw completely made sense, coming from Sean Murphy. I don't know that. I've only read a couple of the stories in here, and it's hard not to just stare at the art. I mean, these like 10, 12 page stories take me way too long to read.
Yeah, that looked amazing. The little bit you showed us looked awesome.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find a tree real quick. I mean, even the way he draws trees is just intense.
Everyone's a tree. You're all trees.
So I don't know, but yeah, I really dig this one. And then there is a Facebook group that with cartoonist kayfabe fans that created for I can't remember what it's called, but it's like where you can sell things or trade things. And somebody put up this is Paul Pope self-published books. This is number 2. I think there's only 5 issues of this, but these are not common. These are real hard to come by. So I don't know. I got real excited. I got this over the weekend.
You got to bring that over and let us crack it open, man. We'll do a kayfabe video, man.
I'd be glad to do that, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean
let's just rip kayfabe off for Comics Revisited now. Let's all just sit around the table and.
Yeah, I'll go buy a Raiders hat and some sunglasses too, just to really complete the vibe.
So I got to be the Jim Rugg then. I got to get some polo shirts, man. I got to get some polo shirts.
I'll bring some of those. We'll do it. We'll set it up.
Some Hawaiian shirts too, man.
Yeah, and then the other 2 things I got are Kickstarters that I got that came in. This is it's called Plaza, and it's a Yokoyama Yuichi is the artist.
Logo design, man.
Yeah, and yep, definitely. And it came with a little sketch card that he drew, and like apparently this is something to do with his name and everything like that. But like apparently this is about his experience at Carnival in Brazil. So it's just
cool.
Every page pretty much is this
Are you saying not his experience watching the HBO show?
Probably not that. Yeah, no. But yeah, I mean, it's just like page after page of like these 3 panels, and with the sound, obviously like pretty much the most, the biggest thing on there and prominent. I don't know. I don't know if there's any dialogue in this. I haven't made it too far into it, but it's so visually striking. It's just insane. It's intense. So I don't know. I was pretty happy with that one. And then, nice. This one is the other one that came in recently, and when it came in, Matt Kent sent out the digital version for this in I don't know, like 9 months ago.
It was almost like a year ago.
Yeah, and but I really just wanted to read it, in my hands, not on a computer screen. So I waited, and I was so excited when it came in, and oh man, I forgot to bring it. I got it with a deck of cards where David Rubin actually drew all the, a deck of playing cards when he drew all the, all the faces, on the ones, but it's pretty dope too. But the night it came in, like I was really tired and it was late, and I was like, I'll just look at the first couple pages, and then I just read it straight through. It's kind of a love letter to Kirby's Eternals, but it's definitely its own thing.
I like the gold foil on the it's got the pages. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the pages. Yeah. That was nice.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's just one sample of the art there. I probably should have put some bookmarks because his 2-page spreads in here, they don't have like the Kirby crackle and everything like that, but they almost carried the same weight as the 2-page spreads the way Kirby does them. I mean, and you can definitely see his influence on that. Those pages there. But
that's the Celestial.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I got mine and I haven't read it yet, man. It looks gorgeous though. And it's just like, did you notice that it just happened to come out right as dude's issue of Mind Management was coming out, David Rubin or whatever?
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah. And I haven't read that one yet. But yeah, I'm a huge Matt Kent fan, and he's worked with Jeff Lemire before because I think he helped fill in or do the art for Sweet Tooth. And I don't know. I was super excited about when this project was first announced, and that's one of the cool things about Kickstarter. If you got some patience, I mean, you can get some of the coolest stuff from there. But you got to be patient, man. I mean, that that one was up for a year and a half. There's one actually from before that he did with Brian Hurt and Marie Enger that still hasn't come, and it actually came out before that. But yeah, I can't recommend that Cosmic Detective enough. I think they are printing it. I don't know who's picking it up, but I think they are doing other editions soon. And
nice.
I can't recommend that one enough, man.
Well, Matt Kent's awesome. A big deal now because he's working with Keanu Reeves and Jeff Lemire. So
well, and he signed some of those TV deals now. Actually, apparently, Mind Management is getting some steam, and then what other one? Is it Black Badge?
Was it that or Bang? Bang?
No, yeah, that's right. Bang.
Bang.
Yeah,
and they even got Idris Elba, I think, attached to that one. So yeah,
I'm excited about that one. That was a great series.
All right.
Fantastic one.
The Idris Elba, the Excitable PCP crew is Jelani, and not because he's black, but because he can destroy a door within 3 seconds. So
I think he does some of that.
Yeah. So why don't you bring us home with show and tell, brother?
Really?
I know you've been waiting, man.
It's been a while, but I have a lot of stuff. So if it's lackluster, it is what it is. I will start with
well, if it's lackluster and a lot, then just let's do a speed through. Jesus, come on.
First thing. I got my Ecto one. Thank you, Mike, for this. I finally have all my real Ghostbusters. They're all in there, and they're all doing, the cool thing.
Man, I still haven't opened mine. I'm gonna do that.
I really freaking love this. Yeah, Ecto one. It's very, very nice. And I've got the Slimer from the Transforming Ecto one to put him on here to complete it.
It actually works on scale better with those figures, man.
Yeah, it does. So, and it goes with all the little monsters all the ghosts that come with it are pretty cool. But yeah, he looks just like them. It's so cool. So that's first.
That's dope.
And next, I'll go to the McFarlane stuff because I really like what he did with superpowers. So I got the Batwing. I know you got one too, Robbie. But I love this thing. It is technically the Batwing from '89 Batman. He's got the grapple in the front. It's so cute. I'm like, God, the man's a genius. It is cheap. It was like $30 or less. It's super cheap. Comes with that.
I'm glad to see that he was so anti-gun. They strapped a couple of machine guns on that.
Well, sometimes they look like
rubber bullets. Promise.
That's all it is. So there's that one, and then. Of course, I got to bring in the Supermobile from that wave because I got Darkseid as well. And I like these figures. They're okay. This isn't the right Darkseid, though, but whatever.
I'm very pleased with this like that Batwing because like you said, I got it too, and it works so well, and it works right alongside the Batmobile. And I have the original Supermobile. But that one's more like comic book accurate, and I haven't gotten that yet. But I really got to. Those are so good, man. And I almost want to get the John Stewart too, man.
I got the John Stewart too, but I haven't opened him yet.
The only thing I understand is Batman. Now Batman, I can see he can't fly, but Superman, man, he can fly.
This is for when.
That thing's even more useless than the Spider-Mobile.
It is, but I think he uses it because.
It's a toy line, man. They gotta sell.
And they gotta sell toys.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
and you really can't
gotta fight kryptonite villains.
Right,
can you close that for the minute? Can you close that? Because it seems
Yeah.
like he's too big for the cockpit.
The
Oh,
figures,
no, you gotta slide it
the
in.
figures
Let's
are a
slide
little
out
bit.
of it.
The figures are probably like, I don't know,
They're a
like
little
a
bigger.
quarter of an inch taller, but they
This
still
is the
work. Like
worst.
I
This
got
is
my
the worst
original
thing, though.
vintage Batman in my Batwing, and it works so well.
Mhm. This is the worst thing. The cape.
Oh, that
All the
cape's
capes-
stupid.
Not only is the cape, they in the back of the packaging, for some stupid ass reason, they put like a tag in the back. So you have to cut that
rip
little
it.
tag, and then there's like a
Yeah.
hole in it. It's visible and it's
You
terrible.
know, people steal those things, so you got to watch out.
Yeah.
It almost looks like Batman's got like a dog safety collar on, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it looks
Like if he's got
terrible.
a hoodie, he's sick or
The
something.
Batman cape does the same thing. It's freaking terrible, man. I don't understand.
And let's
it.
all be honest, those superpowers figures from the 80s had the best capes ever.
They have the best capes. They're cloth. And look how terrible. I mean, it's got a hole in it. And I'm like,
Batman's got a
"Oh!"
pinhole.
Well, that's on you for opening
So
it,
frustrating.
Jelani.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's not MIB.
I got some that I didn't open, so there's that.
You mean MOC? Like mint on card? What MIB?
Mint and box.
Oh, mint in box. Okay. I was like, mint in black.
I've been smoking a lot of weed in the last half an hour, but even I knew it was mint and box.
That sounds
But I am smoking a lot of weed. What's this stuff?
I smoked a lot of
and
weed
shut
for the
up.
last 10,000 hours, brother. Come on, man.
That's right. I think we all do now. Now, Scarpad, I also have one of those monsters.
Look at that.
And
That
this
looks great.
this one glows in the dark. And I can't cut off lights. to show
You bought that at the expo, didn't you?
I bought it at
I
the
remember
expo.
that.
We saw those figures that Scarpad had. That's the same figures.
That's
and it-
right.
That's
yeah,
that
It glows in the
creature's
dark.
got very pouty lips.
Yeah, he's very sexy.
So it's very
Yeah.
accurate then.
So, yeah, he's Gilman. But to go with the glow in the dark theme, I also have the NECA Wolfman, and his face glows in the dark.
Yeah, I was just
But
saying that the whole
it's
pasty
pretty
white
good.
face. Yeah, I don't know
The face
about
glows
that.
in the dark?
The face glows in the dark.
Which one is
That's-
that?
See,
This
Is
is
that a
the
special
NECA.
glow in the dark edition or something?
I got
Yeah,
the-
there's a special glow in the dark edition from
Oh wow, I
Target.
didn't know that.
These glow in the dark. There's this version. They come on a flat back. I was gonna show the
yeah, there's a
packaging.
black and white and a color version and
Yeah.
a glow. Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. I like these. And they also
Yeah.
have the mummy.
Yeah.
And they don't glow in the dark the best. I tried these.
You
I
put them under a black light?
Yeah, I put them under a black light, but they don't glow for a long time. They don't last very long. This compared to this one, this glows all the time. I can leave this in sunlight and then put it in the hallway and it's glowing. And it will glow for like a good 20 minutes. But this one, it's all right. But it's still the mummy.
There's
And
some
I'm like,
pops that are
I'm
like
like-
that, right? So,
Yeah, they're coming. But that's all I got, man.
dude, that's awesome.
Woo! Thank you. I do
What a
can.
great show and tell. We haven't done show and tell in a while. We haven't
Yeah.
done a back chat in a while. I think it was successful, y'all.
Yeah,
So thank you all for joining us tonight. Do join us because Horrorfest does not end, y'all. We will be right back here on Saturday night for Dylan's Horror Show over at Dylan's Horror Show. Link in the description below for Alice, Sweet Alice. And then next week for PCP Movie Night, The Changeling. Jelani, Brooks, y'all seen Changeling yet?
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Bruh, another first time. It's a classic ghost story, but it's pretty cool. Y'all, we're barely getting started. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Thank you all for being here. We're dipping out. We'll catch you next time.